show. I thought we had a 4-hour show today when I signed off yesterday. Yesterday I said, "Oh, don't worry, Friday, full 4-hour show." Cody, right after we turned off our mics yesterday, goes,
Not 2-hour show.
He goes, tomorrow's only a 2-hour show as well. I go, oh, okay. That's because the Royals are in Chicago, as the Cubs typically have Friday day games. That happens a lot. That's what's going on. The Cubs and Royals from Wrigley Field, Vern's on Deck show at noon. So another 2-hour show, and we got 2 hours to look ahead a little bit to tomorrow when the Royals will continue their series, but more importantly, when the Chiefs will have their second preseason game out in Arizona tomorrow night.
It also means because it's a weird short Friday show. Those never happen, by the way, under any circumstance.
First time we've had it.
So very bizarre day game on a Friday that really only happens in Chicago. So you have to play Chicago and happen to be there for a weekend series versus a weekday series. That means a little day drinking for the Jay Rieger happy hour.
Early.
Rather than wait until
Brunch.
like 1 or 1:30, we will be drinking pre-noon today. I specifically asked our guy Andrew over at Rieger, by the way, I'm like, hey, so weirdo schedule. We need a cocktail that's more brunchy. I need a light drinking cocktail because we're going to be doing this thing before noon today. And he specifically suggested this drink called Old Dog New Tricks, which is like a play on a Greyhound, which is like vodka and grapefruit. So it's got a lot of those flavors. We'll find out. I've never had it, so find out if I like it when we get there.
That's at 11:30. We'll do a quick red half hour for a few minutes, which will turn into a 6:10 happy hour presented by Jay Rieger & Co. So, yeah, this will be the first time we've I don't know if it's the first time on the show we've drank before noon. But
has to be, right? Nope. Nick's last day.
There was a birthday. We've had it for
and your birthday.
shots on the birthday a couple years ago.
Do we have a show? Do we have a problem? Nick's last day.
Well,
I'll never forget this. When he left.
You have a drinking problem? Is that what you're asking?
When Nick's last day, when he left, it was 9 a.m. and he was like, hey, we're one of those beers. I'm like, beers? We haven't even started. I brought you drinks for the final show, but it's 9 a.m. And yet we did. We started right then for the next 4 hours. 5 hours, I guess, is how it works.
Bad influence for Drew already, I feel like. He'll have his first 6:10 happy hour coming up at 11:30.
I don't know how his girlfriend's going to be like, what'd you do today at work? It's like, well, I started drinking. His wife, sorry. I started drinking at like 11:30.
She is jealous. I did tell her. I said, hey, tomorrow I'll be able to drink. She goes, oh, man. All right.
So we'll get to
They
that.
don't let her drink at her job, huh? That's weird.
Turns out most.
Maybe people would enjoy the retail scene a little bit more if you could drink while at work.
Especially like at closing, like you're putting up a couple of, things
After
cleaning
hours.
up. Yeah. That's how we're treating it. It's essentially our version of after hours because our work week's wrapping up.
So we'll get there in about an hour and a half. But I mentioned the preseason game tomorrow. Chiefs will be out in Arizona taking on the Cardinals. And for the first preseason game, I said, hey, I wanted to see Deneric Prince. That was who I was looking forward to seeing. And kind of a disappointment, just there wasn't a lot of action there. The other players we wanted to see were, Felix and Udike Uzama. What are you looking forward to tomorrow this go-around? Other than, for me, of course, the starters supposedly are going to play for a full half. We'll see. I want to see if there is increased involvement for two of the guys this week that we both talked about while we were in St. Joe that were getting some more one looks, first-team reps, I should say. And who was that? Rashee Rice and Richie James. Again, those would be the two guys.
They're right back on your list?
Yeah, Rashee Rice in particular, because to me, his stock has risen in the last week or so, and I want to see if he gets any more time with the ones in a preseason game. And can Richie James get some more time with Mahomes in a preseason game? Can they build off of that? So those will be the two players that I'm actually most interested in keeping an eye out for tomorrow night.
So it's funny how quickly Deneric Prince gets moved off this list a little bit because he had a bad first preseason game, and then they spent the rest of the time giving P. Ryan the first team. So I'll tell you right now, the P. Ryan Deneric Prince conundrum, I'm interested in that. I know that it's not the end-all, be-all. This is like talking about Justin Ross, but we're talking about a preseason game for a reason. And to me, one of those players still has to emerge if the moving away from Clyde Edwards-Helaire portion of this equation makes sense. So I do want to see how they produce and at what level they produce because that's going to make some determinations on what they do with the rest of the running back group. It just is. Out of reality. I think the wide receivers is the answer to this, partially just across the board. It's like, yeah, I want to see Rashee Rice.
That's a fun position.
Yeah, I want to see Richie James. Yeah, they're skill positions. Of course I want to see them play. I mean, why wouldn't I, right?
My guess is you're not going to see. I mean, if we think Mahomes is still not going to really play the full first half, that means, I don't think you're going to see much from MVS or Sky Moore, do you, in this game? I still think that's why I'm going further into the wide receiver depth chart a little bit. It's Richie James, it's Rashee Rice, Justin Ross again, I guess, further down the depth chart.
I do think I want to get a second game in a row. Another player that I, preseason kind of watch is Shamari Connor.
Okay.
Because Brian Cook ended up being a factor for this defense late in the year last year, and Connor seems like he would fit right in that role. He got the sack in the first game. I have seen them use second, third, and fourth round safeties kind of immediately, right? I think as you sit right now, because L'Jarius Sneed can't get on the field, guys like him could be more involved in the early part of the season, so he starts to come on my list. They're not all rookies, obviously, because we're talking about this, and I still think you could say, hey, I want to see Donovan Smith have success a second straight, but I'm way more interested in specifically those wide receivers and if there's going to be growth. Because Rashee Rice looked good in the first preseason game, and he's looked really good in practice, and we talked about this yesterday between Felix Anudike-Uzomah and Rashee Rice. You start asking yourself who's going to be more of an impactful player. These preseason games kind of give me at least a look into that. I know it doesn't end all be all. You and I both know that we've mentioned the Doris Fountain effect. It's you can watch a player and you're like, ooh.
There's plenty
and they
of
might
names.
make a roster, but it's like, do they matter in the regular season? Doesn't always turn out to be the case.
Yeah, plenty of names in Chiefs history we can point to that had great training camps and great preseasons that ended up either making the roster and being a disappointment or just never even made the roster. You mentioned Doris Fountain. We can go back in Chiefs history. Really, any team can do that. If you're a fan of Cincinnati or whatever, I'm sure, Drew, you can name a player or two that everybody was talking about during Bengals camp over the years, ended up being a complete bust or nothing. So we always keep an eye on that. The only other thing for me would just be, it sounds weird because Blaine Gabbert is clearly the number 2 quarterback, but does Shane Buechele look really good again? I think it actually means something for the future.
It doesn't mean anything for the future of this year because it's going to be.
But
Gabbert.
like next year, would next year finally be the year where they felt confident that they could go? And we know Andy loves a quarterback that has played in meaningful games. And unfortunately, Shane Buechele's never going to really get that experience, whereas they brought in Chad Henne, who already had it, Blaine Gabbert, who's already had it.
I'll be honest. I think we might have to start looking at this Shane Buechele thing like the other things with Andy that we've accepted he's not going to change. This conversation, as much as I think it should just be Buechele, this conversation feels like the conversation that we had to kill a couple of years ago to be like, hey, I think I want to see Andy to run the ball more. You're like, that's never going to happen. He had Jamal Charles, who's one of the single most talented backs I've ever seen play in the NFL, and he didn't even run that much with him. And his starting quarterback wasn't Patrick Mahomes. So to me, the problem now is if he's never in his entire career not gone stable backup guy in Kansas City, is he going to move off it now? Now? Yeah, I don't know. Probably not. But then also, what is Buechele's purpose? Just to hang out in case they need a third quarterback? It seems so weird. And I appreciate that they've consistently done this, but I'm interested because I think you should just find a way to save a few dollars here or there. And a backup quarterback, Buechele's just going to be less than an experienced veteran backup who might cost you $3, $4, $5 million right across the league, and just go the safety play. The problem is Mahomes is by no means injury prone. I would never say that. No. But Mahomes does get dinged up a little bit because of his style of play. So you do and have pretty much his entire career needed a half, a quarter, or a drive out of Mahomes' backup. They have had to play, and the 2 years they won the Super Bowl, significant moments, they have had to play.
Yeah. Someone brings up, though, we always thought Andy would keep a fullback, and he hasn't. So he did differ in that.
Although he didn't bury it forever. He just said this year. So
I hope he does bury it forever. No need to have a fullback. Save a roster spot. I hope that. I was very happy to see that they finally shifted away.
We're good.
It's just because you barely used your fullback last year anyway. So it's just like, what do you I understand special teams impact for Michael Burton, but you barely used it. That would be those would be the things I think we're keeping an eye on. Unless you think, are they going to showcase Clyde again? I guess I would wonder if that's going to happen. First 4 plays or whatever were all Clyde essentially.
You think it's just going to be all Clyde again? Might as well be.
I would showcase him. We know Pacheco can't play. I don't really need to see McKinnon do much, and it's Prince and Clyde, and I hope Clyde gets a little bit more run. Now that the free agency and running backs cleared up a little bit, Kareem Hunt's pretty much the only guy left. Kareem Hunt, Leonard Fournette maybe. Now that Zeke and Dalvin Cook have signed, so it's not as crazy that if Clyde can look good, that maybe you can showcase him and get a conditional 6th-round pick later at the end of preseason, something like that. You needed to have the free agent running backs kind of make their destinations known, and now you only have 2 that are really name-wise that are left that haven't versus the 4 before.
I went back through. Someone said that he ran a lot with Kareem Hunt on the text line. They did run more. I can't deny that. They were 10th in run pass ratio in the NFL that year. So, as in, they still 10th highest pass rate, I guess, in the NFL. They were the 8th highest pass rate the second year of Kareem Hunt with Patrick Mahomes before he won the MVP. And then pretty much every year since then, he's in that 5 to 7 range. They are never or very inconsistently the highest passing team in the NFL, but they pass a lot. Is the point. Even in those years where you're like, boy, they ran a lot with Kareem Hunt. They still ran less than 2/3 of the NFL. So, I mean, a lot by Andy's standard, but not a lot by any other NFL team standard, which kind of changes the tune a little bit.
Coming up in about 20 minutes, we'll get to something we always said about Andy and always said about Patrick Mahomes, but maybe there's a couple players that we have that conversation about now going forward. We'll tell you who that may be in just a little bit. We were, of course, talking about some of the wide receivers. It's hard not to when we get into what we're looking for the preseason, but you think maybe we're a little blinded and a bit distracted by them.
Yeah, I think what happened was, and reasonably so, the big flashy wide receivers were around, and we're like, who's Mahomes going to throw it to? And we're trying to envision how many 1,000-yard, like the 7,000-yard receiver. Doesn't really matter. We're just paying attention to wide receivers because that was the biggest offseason storyline because Juju Smith-Schuster walked, and they brought in a bunch of unproven wide receivers to replace him. I think it's distracted us from what should have been probably the second biggest story going into the year, the offensive line. And I get it. It's hard because this is like, but they have Mahomes part of the argument, but they have Creed and Tooney and Trey Smith. Tackles matter, and we still have a incomplete answer on whether or not Donovan Smith and Jawan Taylor can hold up for the majority of a season. And because they only got like 6 snaps apiece in preseason game number 1, I feel like in this early part of the season, we can't just get focused on the wide receivers. When we start talking about week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we got to be very careful at evaluating the offensive line to make sure it's stable enough for this offense to work. Because we might be thinking it's the wide receivers that aren't working, and it might just be that Patrick Mahomes isn't getting enough protection.
It is weird how we haven't discussed him as much. And I view that as a good thing, though, right? Meaning if there were concerns while we're watching practice or even the first preseason games that you were seeing some inefficiencies from, or deficiencies, I should say, from Jawan Taylor and Donovan Smith, then it probably would be a bigger story. I kind of view it, we always say, like, what's the old saying when it comes to offensive line? Like, you're not supposed to notice them unless they're making holding calls or penalties or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
normally not noticing them is a good thing.
Yeah, and so that's kind of where I'm at with the offensive linemen. And I think what was already a good sign for me with Donovan Smith, in that first preseason game, limited action, tell me how often we saw Orlando Brown Jr. pancake anybody.
Not
Very often. Saw it already once from Donovan Smith in a preseason game. I think the defensive end for the Saints, I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was it wasn't Cam Jordan, I'll tell you that. He wasn't playing, I don't think. But it wasn't Cam Jordan. But somebody ended up on their ass for the New Orleans Saints, and it was off a block from Donovan Smith. That was a good sign for me. If he stays healthy, I think they will get the Donovan Smith that was one of the better tackles in the league a couple years ago. Last year, he was one of the worst offensive linemen based off of Pro Football Focus. But he wasn't healthy, and the Chiefs thought that it was health was why he wasn't effective. He's healthy, appears to be good to go. So I think it's based off of how strong of a camp they have had. They haven't been much of a story, and we're not going to know fully until this next preseason game. And ultimately, how do they hold up against some of these really good edge rushers? How does Donovan Smith and Jawan Taylor hold up against Aiden Hutchinson week
Max
1?
Crosby and Bosa, they got a bunch of guys that there's a lot of really good pass rushers in the AFC, similar to the really good quarterbacks. All the talent's been flooding there. I get it. It's like, well, they haven't been the loudest noise or the biggest. They haven't been the squeakiest wheel, but it is a good reminder to be like, there are still questions there. Yeah. And I think immediately our reaction is going to be to the wide receivers. They're not getting open enough or these things. But this whole plan, this is what's scary about like the not having to pay attention. And I hope that it works. Is that to me, their entire plan at wide receiver and all this stuff, it all works great. If Mahomes has a top 3 offensive line behind him, it's fine. Because if he has the time, then even the talent, he will overcome if there is a talent deficiency at wide receiver. He will overcome that by having one of the league's best offensive lines, which he had last year, which is why the wide receiver thing didn't matter. And, even though his leading wide receiver was what? Juju Smith-Schuster, like leading wide receiver was 900 yards. Next closest was MVS at 690.
Yeah, I think Juju had like 980. He was like 25 yards away from a 1,000-yard receiving season.
Was he? Okay, I was thinking it was more like 920, I guess, but doesn't matter. Same difference. When you talk about like where they were, it's like, well, then now they've downgraded from that. You and I both know 933. Neither of us think that the leading wide receiver for this team is going to have 933 yards. The wide receiver. We think Travis Kelce will have
Probably
like
not.
1,200, and we think that probably the next closest receiver may be in that 800 range, depending on the estimation we put there. But for all of this to work, and it does work, just as long as the offensive line holds up. And Smith's thing was injury and bad play, so it's like you just can't know that until he gets on the field. And Jawan Taylor, he had a pretty good year at right tackle, but he needs improvement too.
What's wild, though, to that point, Warren Sharp put this out yesterday, talking about quarterback pressures that turn into sacks and how did quarterbacks fare.
Mahomes
So
is great
the
at it,
percentage of quarterback pressures that turn into sacks, only 10.8 of QB pressures turn into sacks when it involved Patrick Mahomes. That was the best in the league. The best in the league. The next best was Jared Goff at 12.3%. Joe Flacco, believe it or not, 13%. Derek Carr, 13%. Mahomes was the best quarterback under pressure in football last year.
That's not surprising.
Right? It
This
didn't
is
turn into
why I
sacks.
told you I think the Bengals think they improved their offensive line with Orlando Brown Jr., and I think they got worse. I think Mahomes made Orlando Brown Jr. look better.
Again, I don't think the Cincinnati O-line can get worse, though. I mean, I think it's an upgrade. I mean, by the way, 23% of the time when Joe Burrow was pressured, he got sacked. That was towards the bottom half, not the worst, but the worst, by the way, was Baker Mayfield, 30% of the time.
Good God,
Minimum,
Baker.
this is minimum 200 dropbacks. Deshaun Watson was 28.2% of the time when he was pressured, he got sacked. That was the second worst in the league. The fourth one's probably interesting to you. Justin Fields, who everybody's hyping up, he had the fourth worst. For a guy that's so athletic and mobile,
It's because you think you can get away with it.
27.1% of the time, fourth worst in football last year, tied with Matthew Stafford.
I mean, this is why Russell Wilson, for the longest time in Seattle,
Well, he had
ranked
Russell
near the
Wilson,
bottom of this damn list, even when he was a good athlete.
Russell Wilson was 27. He was fifth worst.
Yeah, can't hold.
last
He
year.
holds onto the ball too damn long. Mahomes holds onto the ball, or he doesn't. But when he is just better. He makes offensive linemen better by proxy, which certainly goes a long way or helps those things. But it still doesn't exactly lead the thing. Oh, look at my guy B-Dub.
What did B-Dub
Thanks,
bring in?
B-Dub.
What did he bring in?
Brought me a cigar.
Ooh. look
Is this
at
for
that.
Club 610? Am I allowed to smoke in here? Well, I'm
don't
having
think
a drink
so.
at like 11:30. Can I just light up a cigar while I'm
I
in
don't
here?
think he can. I don't think smoking is. I don't think smoking is like you can. You can have the cigar in your mouth a little bit. I guess.
Yeah, this looks
Bourbon
nice.
aged.
Weller bourbon. I got a bottle of Weller at home, so I just thought I'd just
It's funny. Cody and I were
drink
just.
the Weller while I have the cigar.
We were just having a conversation driving back from Harrisonville yesterday.
swear to God, this
when
is
we
so
dropped off the F-150 at Max Motors, and on the way back, I don't know how we got on. We had a conversation about who in the building actually smokes cigars.
I
We
think
were-
it was just me and you,
we,
B-Dub.
we all said, "Oh, B-Dub," and Cody's like, "Occasionally he does, but you're I think you by far, B-Dub, smoke the cigars more than anybody else in the entire station."
Don't worry, I got a cutter and I got a lighter.
There you go, B-Dub.
And I got a small little humidor. I'm good to go.
Have a good weekend, B-Dub. Appreciate it, man. There you go. B-Dub wants to stay around on a Friday afternoon or something like that. You know, we can get B-Dub to hang out. There you go.
Well, now I have to have a cigar soon.
Are you a cigar guy, Drew?
I've never smoked a cigar. My brother is all in on cigars.
He's a golfer, that's why. Golfers all like
Yeah.
cigars. Big time
That's
golfer.
funny. You and I were just talking about this yesterday on the drive. I mean, I
don't know if he was. We were in the car. Is he listening to us like our phones are?
it was. I mean, I think you said you're like twice a year or something that you. I mean,
I said I used to smoke a cigar about once every like 3 or 4 weeks when I had a friend in town who smoked cigars a lot. And I said now I'm down to like maybe 2-3 times a year I might have a cigar.
someone said they thought they saw a red Ford F-150 going 100 and a 55. Nope, that did not happen yesterday at all. We were driving. Cody followed me. Definitely not. He can attest
No,
to that.
you drove a very normal speed.
Yeah. By the way, shout out to Max Motors, not just for the F-150. So we had to return the truck yesterday, and I got everything else cleaned out of the truck. There really wasn't much in there, but everything else taken out of the truck. I left my garage door opener in the truck. So I called them. I said, hey, can you just put aside? I'll come drive down there Saturday. And they're like, oh, we have drivers. We can just drop it off at the station. So they're very nice. They brought the garage door opener all the way back
You're
up
making
here.
them drive all the way from Harrisonville.
That's the kind of service.
Worth the drive, you know?
It's worth the drive. That's the kind of service you get at Max Motors, Max Ford. So shout out to them. Thank you. They didn't have to do that. Appreciate that.
Well, you're
Got
really
my-
making yourself at home there, huh?
I was
You
comfortable.
put your garage door opener in a car that we were only loaning?
I had it for 2.5 weeks, man.
So what? Your car was in the garage.
Yeah.
Can't you just punch in the code?
It was just I just out of habit. I wanted the garage door opener in the vehicle that I was driving. So yeah, even though obviously I couldn't put the truck in the garage, not in my apartment garage. There's no chance that thing was ever fitting in there. But yeah, I appreciate.
I think you
them.
made yourself a little bit too much at home.
I'm glad they.
It's a borrowed
It
vehicle.
was very nice of them to drop off my garage door opener, though.
Agreed. It was very nice. So yesterday we were trying to get the guillotine lots sorted out, and we said that if somebody followed Drew, he would do it. Drew, you informed us of something very disturbing that happened. So you did change your Twitter handle.
I did. It's almost more funny than it is disturbing. So I went and I changed it last night, and I think it got changed. Go in, log in, and I get sent to a white screen that says error, loading page, try again. And I'm like, okay, what does this mean? And then I get an email from Twitter. Well, it appears your account's been suspended.
What did you change your handle to, man? There's certain words you can't use for your Twitter handle.
I didn't do anything. It's almost a little bit like Cody's. It's Drew B. Nix. That's simple.
Is your
as
middle
that.
name with a B too?
Yes, it is.
So you're Drew Bancroft as well.
There's just no
Interesting.
way his middle name is also Bancroft.
Interesting.
It is not.
Oh, okay. So we pressured
It's probably
you.
like
We
Brian.
pressured you into changing the Twitter handle.
And then you immediately got kicked out of your account. Is that what you're telling us?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, I feel bad now. You can't use your
That
Twitter.
makes me very scared to ever change my Twitter account if this Cody Tap guy ever comes off the handle.
Yeah, I sent them an email and said, hey, guys, I don't know about most people that you deal with, but my job, I follow Twitter a lot and have to deal with breaking news. So if I could get it reactivated as soon as possible, I was the person who did change it. I did log in. It is me. It's not anybody else. And there's nothing explicit about my name. I mean, I would hope not.
So it's Drew B. Nix, right?
Yes.
Drew B. Nix is the Twitter handle. Thanks to those, by the way, I saw you got some new followers yesterday. You
Yeah,
can
shout out to
follow-
those people. Thank you.
Follow our new producer, Drew. Thinking of that was how you got a spot in our Guillotine League today. Final spot in the Guillotine League. Coming up in the 11 o'clock hour today.
Assuming the one person who you sent an invite to accepts it.
Jessica.
Got a timeline.
Jessica, you got to join today. You got to join today. We sent you an invite. Let us know if you're having issues with it. If you don't join today, we might have to move on to somebody else. We got to get this thing filled up. But we do have one spot left.
You want to give it away in Club 610 today?
I think that's the move for sure.
Yeah, that feels right. I feel bad, Drew. We bullied you into changing your handle, and then you immediately changed it, and then were immediately locked out of your Twitter account. That makes me feel bad.
Well, we're working on it here. There's an article that says if I do it on my laptop on the website, it might work. So we'll come with an update, maybe.
So Drew B. Nix, that's way easier.
Well, I can remember it. Before it looked like Deer W. Nix or whatever.
What's your middle name, by the way?
Brian.
I nailed it. I said it's probably Brian. That's a much more normal B middle name than mine.
Someone said, make sure we say Drew's Twitter handle slowly. Otherwise, it sounds like something else. Drew B. Nix.
DREWBNIX.
Yeah, gotcha.
Why just Nix versus the full last name?
Well, so I guess
I'm just asking. I'm not trying to be critical.
Now you're really analyzing this.
I was just asking.
How come yours is just you don't spell out your middle name, Cody? How come
No,
it's just
Nix is the shortened version of his
correct.
last name. That's
Right,
why I was
right.
asking.
so.
you know?
My dad in college, his nickname was Nix, and that's what some people called me as well when I was in school. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna put Nix. Why put Nixon when you can just put Nix and it's less complicated,
Got it. Okay. That's all. Just asking. I wasn't asking him to change his Twitter handle again. He can't because he's locked out of his account. I was simply just asking him.
Yeah, that would
Why
really
just
aggravate the
Nix?
people over there. Excuse me, you're changing it again?
Sir, we just got you unlocked. Do you really want to change this a third time? Still need people to be able to find
By the
you,
way,
though.
yes, I did get it unlocked. So we are
Okay, so logging into the computer does work?
we're in the clear. For some reason,
You're only out for 12 hours.
yes.
All right, good. We don't feel bad anymore then. Fair enough.
It was too hard the last time. It was too hard to say.
I said it on Tuesday, and after saying it, I thought to myself, man, I might need to change that. And then it came up, and I was like, yep, okay, we're doing it.
All right, we're just getting started here on a Friday edition of Cody and Gold. Coming up next, though, it's something we used to always say about Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. I think there might be a couple new candidates for it. We'll tell you why and who next.
You're listening to Cody and Gold.
He's so good, and everyone knows it.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Hey, it's Gold for my friends at Midwest Marine Boat Company. They're offering $2,000 trade-in allowance on all Bennington pontoons and tri-toons. And while you're there, check out that incredible selection of Yeti coolers, Old Town kayaks, and Airhead tallables. Midwest Marine Boat Company has you taken care of when it comes to parts, servicing, that service department where any maintenance, repair, or detailing need, they have you covered, plus a parts department for all the do-it-yourself items. items. Check out the new showroom at 13800 South Highway 71 in Grandview. Midwest Marine Boat Company, we take pride in your fun.
Tailgates and turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey is always a winner. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot.
Old Shawnee Pizza has expanded to the Crossroads with their OSP Express. Go to ospexp.com to order and use any third-party delivery system. Located in the Crossroads food stop at 16th and Campbell. Go to ospexp.com to order. Old Shawnee Pizza, now 3 locations.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more Straight Talk. Let's take a moment to appreciate our sweet children, loving grandparents, and eternal soulmates. Now let's use them to save money on wireless. Because with the Straight Talk Silver Plan, you get 4 lines for just $25 a month with unlimited data and no contracts. So add those human pawns, loved ones, and save money. Thanks, kids. They're finally worth it. Straight Talk Wireless, available at Walmart.
Get 4 lines on Silver Unlimited for $25 per line per month, plus taxes and fees. For data management practices and additional terms, visit straighttalk.com.
At Shane Company, we believe everybody is made to shine. It doesn't matter who you are or where you're from. Your moments, your milestones, your love story all deserve to shine bright. You don't need an occasion. You and your life are the event. So put on earrings that make you sparkle, diamonds that light up the room, an heirloom you'll treasure for years to come. We're all made to shine. Shane Company, fine jewelry since 1929.
Well, we're in the middle of August, and I can only mean one thing. Football season is rapidly approaching. The preseason is getting going. You got your fantasy drafts coming up in not too long. We are not that far away from football season kicking off. And let me tell you that FanDuel is giving you a chance to win all season long. Because right now, when you bet on a Super Bowl winner, you can get bonus bets every time they win in the regular season. So maybe you're like my guy, Rob, and you're going to pick the Lions to win the Super Bowl. That means you're only going to get about 4 bonus bets over the course of the season. But maybe you're smart, you're going to bet on the Chiefs, and that means you got about 14 or 15 bonus bets coming over the course of the year. You can pick any team to win the Super Bowl, and you'll get bonus bets for every single victory. All you need to do is go to FanDuel.com/CDOT and use my promo code and start earning bonus bets with America's #1 sportsbook app. That's FanDuel.com/CDOT. 21 in President, Kansas. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued. Non-withdrawable bonus bet that expire in 7 days. Max bonus bet at $50 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. FanDuel is offering sports betting in Kansas under agreement with Kansas Casino LLC. Gambling problem. Get help with your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700. Visit KansasGamblingHelp.com.
Where can you find steel, aluminum, brass, and stainless, and occasionally random stuff in the back? The Foot, who has an extensive line of Blue Demon welding supplies, filler, rods, and wire. The Foot, who is KC's and Topeka's only stocking dealer for Fronius professional welding equipment. The Foot, who is KC's and Topeka's only Fronius authorized service and repair center. The Foot, where can you go to take a Fronius welder for a test drive? The Foot, where can you find Colossus, your friendly neighborhood robot? The Foot, just like Colossus, Metal by the Foot stands tall and ready to help both pro and DIY warriors with their metal needs. For over 35 years, Metal by the Foot has continued to up their game by providing you with the convenience and selection of metals you have come to expect. Discover new and unique quality products to take your project and skills to the next level. Get instant pricing on most items at metalbythefoot.com. That's metalbythefoot.com. When you need a piece of metal, remember, metal doesn't have to cost an arm or a leg, just the foot.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay. Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Every business seeks an advantage, whether it's having the best location, hiring top talent, or spotting trends before they happen. And now, the United States Postal Service can give your business a new advantage. Introducing USPS Ground Advantage. Reliable and affordable 2 to 5 day package shipping. It's the advantage you need at the price you want. Get the Ground Advantage at USPS.com/advantage. The United States Postal Service, delivering for America.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching your kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, taillights, trunk lids, license plate holders, 122 million parts. Pull up just a little bit. And headlights. They've got lots of headlights. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
The second half of the baseball season is here, and each game means a little bit more. We're talking pennant races and wild card chases, with each pitch bringing us closer to the playoffs. The free Odyssey app lets you listen to live play-by-play of your local team. So no matter what you're up to, you'll never have to miss another game. Download the free Odyssey app today and keep baseball close by all summer long. That's AUDACY. Odyssey.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Arvest Bank, proud supporter of your Kansas City Chiefs radio network. Arvest Bank, proud supporter of your Kansas City Chiefs radio network. Stop by any Arvest branch to find out why banking with Arvest and the Arvest Go mobile app makes life easier. Arvest Bank, proud to be here game day. Let's do this.
I'm coming in hot.
All right, back here on Cody and Gold. So we used to always say that maybe a certain quarterback or a head coach had something to prove. Remember pre-first Super Bowl win for Andy Reid, the big knock was what? It was, well, he's gotten all these NFC title games. He just hasn't won the Super Bowl. Now I think Kyle Shanahan, by the way, has replaced him in that role. To me, Kyle Shanahan, everybody knows is a great head coach, but he hasn't been on one Super Bowl. I feel like Kyle Shanahan's the new Andy Reid in terms of how we talk about it. But we don't talk about Andy needing to prove anything anymore. We certainly don't talk about Patrick Mahomes needing to prove anything anymore. So who's left on the roster where you're like, hey, in that same way, has to prove? Because it's such a young roster and so many young guys, I actually think there's multiple candidates. And much like our wide receiver conversation we were having to start the show, that's where my mind went immediately. Two players, if we're talking about have a ton to prove and still have a chance to completely change how their career trajectory is going to go, it's Kadarius Toney and it's Sky Moore. It's Kadarius Toney for obvious reasons. Right now the big knock is, well, dude, you can't stay healthy. We don't know what you look like for a full season or part of the season, and he's hurt right now. The Chiefs...
To me, it's like just prove you can stay healthy, not even prove the next step of your...
It's that. Can you stay healthy, number one? But if you do stay healthy, can you be the number one wide receiver that the Chiefs can kind of hinted at earlier in the offseason? So that's... You want to talk about a guy that has a chance, if he does that, to get a big payday in the future, whether it's in KC or elsewhere. That's somebody that has a lot to prove still. And then Sky Moore, it's pretty obvious. Now, it's year 2 of his NFL career, so it's not like anybody should be making up their mind, but he has a chance to very easily, I would say, and quickly shift the view that people had last year. Disappointing rookie campaign. His first touchdown didn't come till the Super Bowl. He lacked some confidence, lacked knowledge maybe of pre-snap adjustments and assignments that he should have. If he goes out this year in year 2 in the league, and even if he's a 600 yards, 650, it resets everything for him. It then sets up a massive year 3, and where he can set himself up for a big payday in the future as well. Those are the two players to me that have some of the most to prove on the roster. It wasn't like Trip McDuffie for me, because to me, I already feel like we know he's going to be a pretty legit corner in this league.
So it's funny, as we looked at this a little bit different, which is a good thing. You were choosing players that just need to prove they can be players, because Toney needs to prove he can be a number 2 wide receiver, let alone a 1. He has proven nothing in this league. He's got 420 yards and a long injury history, right? He hasn't, all we've talked about, he is, right now, he is Adalberto Mondesi. All the talent in the world. Will he play enough to even find out if he can do it? And when he gets on the field, will he do it? Things we just simply don't know. I looked at it from a perspective of two guys I think need to take that step. Because when we talked about Reid and Mahomes, it was that. It's how do you elevate yourself to that level that we still think is within you, and can you prove you are capable of that level? Two guys came to mind for me for that. They are Justin Reid and Nick Bolton. Justin Reid came here on a free agent deal the same way Tyrann Mathieu did, but Tyrann Mathieu stepped on the field for the Chiefs and was an all-pro player. Justin Reid had a really nice year for the Chiefs. But the way they were talking about him is that he could instantly be the same level of impact player that Matthew was, and he was a very good player, but he wasn't Matthew in year one impact, okay? And I still think that there's something to prove to be like, you're the kind of player, to me especially, you're the kind of player that not only do we want here for 2 years, but unlike Matthew, we'd like to see you here for one more contract after this one, even if it's another 2 or 3 years, and you are the staple of our secondary. You're the man we count on. The problem is he's got competition in there because Trent McDuffie might become that guy and otherwise. And Nick Bolton, for the same reasons, he has gotten better each of the last 2 years. I just want him to prove that he is one of the preeminent inside linebackers in the NFL, no questions asked. People say, hey, who are the best middle linebackers in the NFL? And you immediately think Nick Bolton. He just has that other half step to take to prove to the NFL that he is that guy every year. He is really close. Feels like his step is the easiest out of any of the 4 guys we have mentioned, but you still have to get there so that we're not bringing this up again.
I think I'm with you more on Justin Reed than I am on the Nick Bolton one.
You think he's just there?
Justin Reed, to me, the elevation is what we discussed a week or so ago or earlier this week, I guess, when we were discussing
where he could leap.
How does this defense get to be a top 10 defense? What are the elements that have to occur? And one of them I said at least was like, I think he might have to be an all-pro player for them to actually be a top 10 defense. So I'm with you on the Justin Reed route, right? He put on about 10, 11 pounds of muscle this offseason. He's another year in the system. Can he elevate and become an all-pro type safety? I think there's a possibility that could happen, but that's the level that you're talking about getting to. Nick Bolton, I feel like, I think last year we made the comment while we were discussing his season, and someone said, wait, did you already say that you think he's an elite inside linebacker? And I said, yeah, I do. For me, he's already there. Now, you might be right that
he's
around
close.
the league. You might be right that around the league, he's not viewed that way. I think Nick Bolton's already one of the best inside linebackers in football. So to me, he's kind of already there. Now, he's an inside linebacker, so when we talk about the bigger name linebackers that are rushing the passer and things like that, and they're going to get more name recognition, yeah, he's not going to be that because he's an inside linebacker. But I think Nick Bolton's already one of the best inside linebackers in football.
I think I still think he's like that half step away. The rookie year, right, the Chiefs, they limit it. They didn't play enough. So he's got 1 year where he was a tackling machine, but he didn't lead the NFL in tackles. He led the Chiefs in tackles, right? So, I mean, there's still more there for Bolton where you talk about him, and you and I both know the inside linebackers for any generation or any given year where you can elevate yourself to another level.
He was second in the NFL in tackles.
No, I know.
By 4. He was off by 4. So, saying that he only led the team in tackles, not the league. He was 4 off from leading the league in tackles.
Who led the league?
Foye Oluokun or whatever, 184.
But it's not that I even think, I told you, out of all the 4 players that we've discussed, he's the closest to realizing this. By the way, Tony or Sky Moore are probably the furthest away. Yep. Tony, it's like, before I get to the really prove it, it's like, prove to me that I can just count on you, kind of. I still think we're ahead of the he's going to prove to me you're a 900 or 1,000 yard receiver. I'm like, I'd like to see 650 or 700 yards first. Prove to me that you're a reliable receiver who is on the field and produces when you're on the field. He's had stretches like that in his very brief NFL career, and it's only year 2, so there's no reason to think that he can't do that. But there are players who still have that. Mahomes and Andy Reid have absolutely zero to prove.
Sure.
Neither does Travis Kelce. They have nothing to prove. Chris Jones, nothing to prove. They have players who don't have to. They can just be like, I am who I am, and I don't need to show you anything, which helps.
Yeah, 913-586-7610. Let us know who comes to mind for you guys as well.
Tracking back to the offensive line guys, what about Jawan Taylor? I know the whole. Okay. If you look at the comp between he and Orlando Brown Jr., grade-wise overall, Jawan Taylor is worse, but that's because he got a really bad run-blocking grade. Passing grade, they're basically equally the same. The thing that stands out, I think, is the total pressures allowed between the two of them, and that obviously is, protecting Patrick Mahomes is paramount. Jawan Taylor allowed 16 pressures last year, and Orlando Brown Jr. allowed 47. Now, sack-wise,
47.
Sack-wise, they're very even. But again, the pressures and Mahomes being able to be, as you said, Cody, escape, be that Houdini-like player who can find a way to get the pass off no matter what. It allows him to sit in the pocket maybe a little bit longer and really use his eyes to just pick apart the defense.
I will say this: Mahomes, I think, does occasionally get his offensive tackles in a little bit of trouble because he's unconventional. And when you're unconventional and you don't just stand back there in your spot a la Tom Brady in his prime, I think the discrepancy between those two pressure rates is some on Mahomes. Not all of it. Some is on Mahomes. I feel like we'd probably be, Drew, mentioning Jawan Taylor a lot more in this conversation if he were playing left tackle.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say as well. I'm with you. That's why it's a little bit. If he was actually playing the position we thought he was going to play when he got signed, then he would have a chance to prove. He still will have this chance, maybe next offseason, by the way, to prove that he can be a left tackle in this league. We're not going to find that out this year. And next offseason, maybe they choose to draft a left tackle. Maybe Wanye Morris is a candidate who got some first-team reps occasionally during practice at left tackle. But Jawan Taylor, I think it's a good answer for his career as well. Right? He just got a massive contract as one of the highest-paid right tackles in football. But for him, it's can he prove at some point in his career he can be a left tackle? He's going to have to wait till next offseason to find out if that's an opportunity he's going to actually get. He didn't get that opportunity this year.
The more I'm thinking about it, there are like 9 players who don't have to prove anything on the Chiefs. Because Tooney and Creed Humphrey don't have to prove anything to me either. Right? I don't need to see any more from there. I'm like, nah, we're good. I know what you are, and we're all fine with it. Like, it's so many, because this team's so young. When you start going through the age of the defense, the age of the team, you realize, like, oh, yeah, they got a lot of players on the rookie deal. And that's how they're able to afford the other players they can afford. And you're like, that's kind of making some sense.
We'll get to the trash of the day here in about 6 minutes or so, but we mentioned we're off the show a little early today. Royals baseball, they're in Chicago, Wrigley Field, day game, your typical Chicago Friday day game, which, by the way, I love that. You're talking about like downtown baseball and stuff. I love the Friday day game.
Do you want the Royals to do Friday day games when they get the downtown stadium?
Chicago's different. It works in Chicago better, the population size and the way everything's. It's a little bit different, but it would be pretty awesome if we did that occasionally. Not every Friday, but didn't the Twins test that last year or this year? Something like that.
Yeah, they did a few.
So we're off the air at noon today. We'll give it over to Vern here coming up at noon for his On Deck show. But a hitting streak did come to an end yesterday, although it was an awfully impressive run for Michael Garcia.
I was thinking more about him. He had an 18-game hitting streak, which was impressive. It did come to an end yesterday. A shame, but 18 games in a row for a rookie who wasn't expected to do anything, who, by the way, is still way down the list. He's never going to win AL Rookie of the Year. But when you start comparing, like from an odds perspective, but when you start comparing his season to other people who are like 3rd, 4th on this list for AL Rookie of the Year, he should probably have more of a discussion because he's been a reliable impact player for the Royals. I'm just thinking about how this should give us more confidence in JJ. I know people get sick of hearing good things about the Royals because they stink. They're 40 games below 500. Nobody is debating that across the board. But the same thing that applied earlier in the season, Gold, is now even stronger at this point. Because what I told you was 2 years ago, JJ Piccolo implemented new systems when he was the minor league director to completely overhaul the way they teach pitching. And at no other point that I could remember in the last decade of covering the Royals can I remember this many players coming up and being at least viable offensive players. Michael Garcia is better than that. He's better than a viable offensive player. He's been the second best offensive player for this team for 2 months. He's a rookie only next to Bobby Witt Jr. or, I don't know, Freddie Fermin, another guy who came up. They're having more players come up in the style of what I view good teams do. When the Cardinals had their run of being good, the Rays now is they will call up a player who you and I don't think of as heralded. They are a player in the minor leagues who come up and they instantly have success. Velasquez might qualify for this as well, although he was just a Jose Cuas trade.
4 home runs in
showed
7
up
days.
in the organization and started slugging homers. But Michael Garcia is the kind of guy that in your organization it's okay to overlook, right? Be like, how do we overlook him? Well, you were being successful. Like, they overlooked Whit Merrifield, but at the time of their maximum success, you know, they were overlooking him in 2015 when their roster was loaded. Michael Garcia's, in times where you're bad, get called up and immediately are successful. I was thinking about him as makes me feel better about their ability to develop offense.
Well, as an organization, he's probably someone they would point to immediately. I mean, I think when we've had JJ on before, he's admitted that they've been pleasantly surprised. Now, I mean, you got to feel great. The left side of your infield set.
It's great defensively, and everybody's hitting.
Left side of your infield, you're good. Third base, shortstop, you're set. You don't have to worry about that.
Second base, you're probably fine.
We talk about off-season trade. Yeah, if Massey keeps this up, because he's been awfully impressive here recently. If you look at that, then you don't have to worry about shortstop or third base, assuming that you don't make any transaction that involves either of them. You're good. And so then when you're looking at your offseason plan and the issues that certainly have to be addressed, and there's still plenty of them that need to be addressed, and most importantly, pitching, it makes it a little bit easier. I mean, it's been a pleasant surprise, I think, not just for the organization, but for fans. Like Michael Garcia wasn't somebody that anybody was really talking a whole lot about unless you were deep into the prospects of the Royals organization. Again, an organization that does not right now grade out well with the
Baseball America.
farm systems, and maybe this is an example of like when the organization says, "Oh, we actually, we respect those, but we actually think our farm system is in better shape than what the
JJ
the
told us
rankings
middle
are
of
saying."
the pack. He thinks they're more like 16,
This would be
17,
an example
18.
of that where, and look, every team's going to value their guys more so than an outside set of
Sure.
eyes. I mean, that's
but at
pretty,
least they're being realistic.
Yeah.
He didn't tell us they thought they had the third best minor league system in baseball. Because then you would be like, ooh, I'm gonna have to disagree because you don't have enough stars at the bottom end. And I don't know, like the Angels literally just called up a person they drafted 22 days ago. It's like the fastest call up in the big league since like the 70s. Like we remember in Kansas City, Brandon Finnegan getting the call up in the World Series here. They just called up a first baseman they drafted less than a month ago. But they are also desperate. They are desperate for winning because they know that they've got Shohei. You should feel better about the Royals today than you did 2 months ago. I am not here to tell you it's perfect. But Bobby Witt Jr. is emerging. Garcia is a big leaguer. And you've seen promising acquisition. So Garcia's like, a development thing that works. Velasquez is you're understanding how the trade market works, right? Cole Reagans and Velasquez, two things that are instantly showing some promise about why you made these deals. Drew Waters has been in the big league lineup every day. So even for just a comp pick, you've taken a chance and maybe he's got a place as a fourth outfielder on your team going forward. Right now, JJ's track run of he is the only guy in charge, I think there's way more positives than negatives, don't you? There's more things to be like, this is working than not, other than the fact that their record is 40 games below 500.
I mean, from a long past the keeping track of the record and just evaluating.
He inherited a bad situation. I don't know why we pretend.
Just evaluating on a individual basis, there certainly are more positives right this second than there were 2 months ago from that. And one of them is on the mound today.
Cole Reagans.
Cole Reagans. So he's on the bump today when the Royals take on the Chicago Cubs right here on 610 Sports Radio. All right, let's get to it. The trash of the day.
Trash of the day.
So somebody's in hot water. This is another one that comes from Reddit. 2 days in a row we've actually gone to Reddit. Some of these have been a little interesting. Yesterday was the airplane.
Do you ever get on Reddit? It's a fascinating rabbit hole.
Rarely, yeah.
What do you get? Do you get on Reddit, Drew?
A little bit, yeah.
TikTok? You're a little younger
I
than
do
us.
not have TikTok.
Oh, surprising.
I thought you automatically had TikTok?
I kind of did, yeah. He's 10 years younger than me. I thought being 10 years younger than me would mean he might have a social media I didn't even hear about yet.
You feel old?
No, I feel fine.
10 years difference.
Yeah, I was like, Drew was being born, and I was like heading to middle school.
So Reddit, this one comes from there as well, and it had a conversation involving a guy and what he requires. That's the word he used, okay? What he requires for any potential girlfriends he might have, and he put this out there, and the list was discovered on this Reddit group, which is all about, the group is all about people being too picky, okay? And so it lists out, let me just run through a couple of these and see what you guys think. So this is, I think there's, I don't know, I'm not going to read all 15 of them. Number 1, he lists 5'6" or below. Number 2, he lists blue or green eyes. I mean, he's so specific down to the eye color. Number 3, isn't too confident and self-secure. Then he goes on, willingly will cook. No male friends, he puts.
No male friends.
Will not talk back during disagreements. 18 or above. I don't know why you needed to put that as the list.
Just don't put that.
Yeah, don't need to put that on the list.
That's every adult's list.
Yeah, don't put that on.
Because if it's not,
yeah,
very concerning.
I don't know why. Some of these, why are you even putting it down? Someone else says, will give me 5. Will give me 5 sons. Who the hell does this guy think he is, by the way? Good relationship with her dad.
By the way, that is this guy knows, right, that she can't control that's on whatever's going on in his body.
No smoking or vaping. Like that one's fair. Like some of these, okay. A lot of them are ridiculous. Will wear sensible clothes. Doesn't have celebrity crushes. Will dress as the way I tell her. Oh, this guy's nuts.
Okay, just don't take this person.
No tattoos. Doesn't post herself on social media. No past trauma. Isn't career or degree focused. Doesn't go to concerts. Doesn't go to the gym. I thought this was fake, but this was a real thing.
What the hell is going on here?
The top of the list he put was 5'6" or below. So this guy's getting crushed, as you would expect, right? Based off of his demands. What's the worst?
Look, you have a checklist in a way of like.
Yeah, but mine are
knows in which you date.
Mine are realistic. I feel like mine are like, hey, someone that knows what they're, knows what path they want to head down on their career. Mine aren't like this, which is has to have a certain color eyes, no male friends. Like, what? It's okay.
Yeah, but you did tell me that it was weird that when we were discussing me going out to have a drink with a female friend, you said it was weird.
Why? Yours is different. You went out by yourself.
So what? She's a
just,
female friend.
That's not the same as this guy saying no male friends. You went out and had a drink by yourself with another woman.
Correct.
And went to a hotel late at night with that woman.
Now, those are two different incidents.
That's different, man.
And I didn't go to the hotel. One of them I met in the hotel lobby.
It's different.
And one of them I got a drink with. So they can have male friends, but what? They can't hang out they can't hang out with each other? They're not even a friend at that point.
I'm sure they would be. But what's the worst one on the list, other than why did you even need to put 18 or above? That's just dumb.
That means you're probably a pedophile. I think that's immediately concerning.
I think the worst one, there's two that just stand out other than that one.
You can't have celebrity crushes? What kind of weird rule is that?
The one that says, will not talk back during disagreements? What a control freak. Like, what? That might be the worst one, because that just tells me you are super, super controlling.
I feel like the one that you actually, or one of the ones that you skipped over, Gold, was will dye hair and nails to the color of my liking. Like, what if she doesn't like blue? What if she doesn't like amber? You know, I mean,
this is the control. This guy just is insecure and very
By the
controlling.
Way, he thinks he's going to find all these people, and this person doesn't have daddy issues. It says good relationship with their dad. No, this person's and no past trauma. If this person's going to agree to all this stuff, they're definitely going to have past
single
trauma.
for the rest of their life.
Yeah. Perfectly sane people with trauma are going to look at this and be like, I don't know, this is all the trauma I experienced when I was a kid. There's no way I'm getting involved with this guy.
Yeah, this guy.
Do not date this man. And look, I don't think any women need to hear this.
Don't post yourself on social media. So,
well, we know that came up with a recent celebrity.
It did.
Was that who was that? Who recently got in trouble for
that wasn't what's his name?
Jonah Hill.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, Jonah Hill.
Yeah.
Recently got in trouble for very similar things. Like, hey, I don't like that photo. This is the exact same thing I was posting when you were talking to me on Instagram.
Yeah.
Now it's a problem.
Like, if you want to say, hey, you'd rather not date someone that has, and here's some of these, like no tattoos or doesn't smoke. Okay, those are understandable things, but the rest are very controlling, very, very controlling. Also, I don't get what he's saying about someone that isn't career or degree focused or doesn't have any idea what they want to do. Like, that's just weird. That's just a weird one anyway. So I don't know.
I like this.
That was the
doesn't go to the
day.
gym in parentheses. Does workouts at home. He'd like you to be fit.
No,
okay. But not. You can't be going to the gym to do it because someone might ogle you.
That's exactly what it is. He's super controlling.
This guy's definitely abusive.
Somebody said they think he's trolling. I don't know, man.
I feel like to come up with this sort of a list, though, you're dead serious. As well, like you might be trolling, but
why 5'6" or below? Why is he determined to not date? This guy's definitely 5'7", right?
No celebrity crushes. I mean, everybody has one. It doesn't
threaten you in any way.
If you watch a movie and you say, "Oh, they're pretty good looking," not that you have a crush on them necessarily, but you gravitate towards that person's movies or whatever they do. I mean, I don't know.
This guy.
Someone says there's a lot of women out there that will agree if he makes 6 figures out of this thing.
6 figures? No, he didn't get any high 6 figures.
That's from the 913.
This guy's making $105,000. Don't agree to any of this stuff.
No.
Don't agree to it anyway, but I mean, at least make sure he's making like $500K. Those are very different numbers.
All right, that's the trash of the day. Coming up next, we get to the 11 o'clock hour, and one move the Chiefs would have to make if they moved on from this particular player. And no, it's not Chris Jones. We'll tell you who it is next.
Cody and Gold on 610 Sports Radio and the Odyssey app.
You talk on the radio. Yeah. You're a fanboy.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Barbecue Whiskey Hotline, how can I help you? You're looking for a delicious barbecue whiskey to use behind the grill? The ultimate whiskey for marinades and glazes? Sweet, smoky flavor to pair perfectly with any of your favorite barbecue recipes, be it ribs, wings, brisket, or beef? That would be Curveball Barbecue Whiskey. Curveball with a K. Curveball Barbecue Whiskey. Delicious sweet barbecue meets smooth American whiskey. Happy to help.
Drink Curveball and be a bonehead responsibly. Over 21. Find Curveball at Target, Hy-Vee and Lucas Liquors, or ask your liquor store for Curveball Whiskey. That's Curveball with a K. Curveball Barbecue Whiskey.
The Power of Work Awards, brought to you by Goodwill, will take place at the beautiful Madrid Theater Friday, September 8th from 7:30 to 9 a.m. and includes a delicious breakfast. But make sure to text POWA to 53555 to purchase tickets to the event or raffle tickets for 2 chances to win a Kansas City Chiefs signed football by head coach Andy Reid or a Chiefs jersey signed by Christian Okoye.
Hey everyone, it's Christian Okoye. Look forward to seeing you there September 8th. It's going to be great.
You do not have to be present to win, so get those tickets to the event or the raffle tickets by texting POWA to 53555.
Dick Ray is your plumbing magician. Dick Ray is a man on a mission. When your pipes are leaking, your bathroom's flooding, and you're feeling kind of blue, there's a master plumber who knows just what to do. He's there for you, and he'll do it all with skill and precision. Dick Ray, he's your plumbing magician.
This month, Dick Ray will clean any drain for $79.
The other day, I had one of those Facebook memories pop up, the photos. In this case, it was about 5.5 years ago. It was a photo of me and some friends, and sure enough, I was wearing glasses because that was typically the case for me. Glasses, sometimes I throw in contacts if I was going out on the weekend or whatever it may be. Now I don't need contacts. Now I don't need glasses. I've been telling you guys about that because I went in for a free consultation at Dury Vision. I was skeptical. I didn't know if I was eligible for LASIK. I didn't know if I was going to actually go through with the process, but Dr. Lindquist and the staff put my mind at ease, so much so that I felt so comfortable just a couple days later to go in for my procedure, spent about 16 seconds or so on each eye, and I was right back at work the very next day. I did some eye drops for a couple weeks, and now sometimes I forget that I even had the procedure. That's how just normal it feels to wake up and see with my eyes only. No contacts, no glasses needed. So take advantage of the end of summer LASIK savings event where you can save up to $1,000 on LASIK, and it's only for a limited time. 913-491-3330 or online at DuryVision.com.
Tailgates in Turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey can be used for succulent sliders, killer kebabs, championship chili, or even brilliant burnt ends. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack worth nearly $2,000, including a portable Traeger grill, Yeti cooler, Chiefs gear, and much more at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot. Come on, KC, turn up your tailgate at tailgatewithturkey.com.
Summer heat can take a toll on your lawn. In order to revive those weak spots in your yard, you gotta start now. We have James and Josiah from American Topsoil. Why start now, guys?
Laying down fresh soil before seeding is the best way to get ahead of the game. Our Ridge topsoil is great for leveling yards and creating a nice seed bed for your new grass. Ridge topsoil is a key component to establishing a healthy lawn, and our Power Wheelbarrow service can place the soil exactly where you need it, and we can even spread out the soil for you.
So how do I know how much soil I need?
Our Power Wheelbarrow service assures that our customers are getting the exact amount of soil that they need, exactly where they need it, and that's all they'll pay for.
How can I set up my delivery with American Topsoil?
Visit AmericanTopsoil.com or give us a call at 913-888-SOIL.
American Topsoil, providing the best topsoil delivery service across Kansas City for over 30 years. Get started online at AmericanTopsoil.com or call 913-888-SOIL.
Attention taxpayers. If you or your business owe the IRS back taxes or have years of unfiled tax returns, the IRS has green-lighted billions of dollars in tax relief to those facing financial hardship through its tax relief initiatives. If you have a delinquent tax problem and possibly facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, audits, or already in a payment plan, you may now qualify for significant relief. Qualifying and enrolling in this program could stop all collections, settle your tax problem, and may even reduce what you owe by up to 99%. Call the hotline at Tax Help USA to see if you qualify and receive your free tax assessment by dialing 800-210-1005. If you or your business owe back taxes to the IRS or state, you can now get the help that you need during these hard economic times. Get your free tax assessment to see what you qualify for by dialing 800-210-1005. 800-210-1005. That's 800-210-1005.
Dick Ray, he's your plumbing magician. Dick Ray, he's a man on a mission. When your pipes are leaking, your bathroom's flooding, and you're feeling kind of blue, there's a master plumber who knows just what to do. He's there for you, and he'll do it all with skill magician.
This month, Dick Ray will clean any drain for $79.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy, like when looking at a door frame. For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble seeing in low light, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today. Learn more at GAWon'tWait.com. That's GAWon'tWait.com.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Miss anything while you were at work? Every show is available on demand at 610sports.com and the Odyssey app. 610 Sports Radio. KCSP Kansas City. WDAF HD2 Liberty. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
11 o'clock hour. Only an hour left in another 2-hour show. Royals baseball.
On a Friday. That's
on a Friday.
Just weird.
C-Dot. We got the C-Dot life, I feel like, now. C-Dot's in studio with us. That's why I said it.
Big difference, though. C-Dot's got to work later.
Are you hopping on after the show? After the Royals game?
We'll be done at noon today.
Yeah.
We're starting to drink at 11:30 today. We're cracking it early.
Yeah, if you want to hang out about a half hour, we'll be we got some drinks.
Yeah, no, I'm still going to be here. I'm still hanging out. I plan on being here. I do feel like maybe something's wrong with my brand that people just don't expect me to be on after Royals day games anymore. It's like, I can't believe that you're here. Like, hold on. I mean,
I don't know.
I think you've made it publicly known that you would prefer not to work when the Royals play a day game.
This is the thing. See, it's just weird when, like, I much rather do it the way you guys do it. I much rather I much rather do the 3 hours and then, all right, I get off for the last hour, or I'm just sitting around here and then you don't know. Like, the show might start at 4:45. It might start at 5:15. That's the part that I just don't really like, because then I sit up here all day to do 45 minutes of it. Yeah, that's the part I just don't like.
You got to get your game system back, you know?
Yeah, I'm
Wait, you don't have the room anymore to go play?
Oh yeah, no, we definitely got our NFL Street in. I mean, that's definitely what we do.
Did you buy the new Madden, by the way?
I have not bought the new Madden.
I haven't either. Vinny Pasquantino was in earlier in the week, and he was gonna download it. It just came out this week. I'm holding off, but I'm sure this weekend or something I'll get bored and I'll decide to
we
buy
need like an arcade game. I'd be way more likely to play it if we just had a stand-up NBA Jam.
Oh, you want like an NFL Blitz downstairs or something, like the arcade version?
I'm way more likely to play that at the office.
Let's get
than
one.
like sit down with a controller.
Like $500.
Yeah, why don't we just chip in and get one? You want to do that?
Which one?
Whatever you want to get.
I prefer Blitz over the NBA.
I would play Blitz if you want to get it. I'll chip in. I'll chip in.
Again, the only issue, the reverse of the conversation we were just having about the Royals, way more beneficial for you. For us, I'm not going to stick around and play NFL Blitz at 2:30.
No, but like at 9:15 this morning, we were kind of wrapped up with the show, and we felt like we were good because we only had a 2-hour show. I might have gone down and get a game of Blitz in.
Yeah, you definitely see. This is the thing about Alex. Alex just doesn't really like station camaraderie. Like I'm all for it. I want to hang out.
The irony here is unbelievable.
You're for show camaraderie. You'll do whatever for the midday crew. You don't really look out for us in that way anymore. It's sad. I don't know why you and I. And then it's weird. You and I might be in our best place right now.
Really?
We might be. You and I, we talk off air. We agree on like 9 things that are currently happening. I gotta call you a scumbag or something later so we can have some beef.
It's weird.
We don't have any beef right now.
We are locked in on some sports takes currently, which does not happen very often.
Yeah. I think the entire station agrees that the Chiefs should just forfeit this game, screw the Cardinals in their gate, and not play.
Well, not forfeit. Just don't play any starters.
Who cares? If you're not playing starters, just don't play.
Don't play any starters.
Refuse.
Don't forfeit. There's some kids that are excited to go for their first NFL game. Don't forfeit the game.
And just be clear, Andy Reid saying, you know, we're familiar with the field and it's in pretty good playing shape. People can grip. That might as well be Andy Reid saying, this is the biggest dump of a field in the NFL and everybody knows it. That's like Andy Reid's way of saying that. He'd never say that. That's what he wants to say.
It's mind-blowing to me that we all know that there's a problem with the field. and no one is doing anything about it. Like, how
for at least a year?
How is this
more.
a thing? Like, how is the NFL allowing this? How is Roger Goodell not stepping in and saying, hey, if you guys don't do something about the field, we are fining you? Like, what you are doing puts players in danger. You shouldn't be able to do this. They're the only team that's having this much of a problem.
Look, this is a league that until they were forced to declare it, this was a league that for many, many years hid behind and claimed concussions weren't, there was no link between football and CTE and concussions. So
doesn't make any sense.
I'm not stunned. Even though we think we know, right, the McDuffie injury and the Butker injury were a result of the field conditions, because there hasn't been a huge push to actually investigate and prove that the field is directly causing all these injuries. They're not going to do. The league's not going to do anything. If there was never the documentary and the concussion movie and all this stuff, you think the NFL would have ever settled the concussion stuff? Hell no.
No,
so that's what it is.
Not at all.
Sorry, I'm looking at arcade machines now.
It's okay. Yeah, no, we can definitely get an NFL blitz for $300.
Are you sure you don't want Big Buck Hunter?
I would love Big Buck Hunter.
Dude, it's like $600. That game would be fun as hell.
Put me down for $150 right now.
Does that come with the prop? Does that actually
comes with the gun.
Okay.
$600.
Put me down for $150 right now. I'm very happy to contribute $150 to Big Buck Hunter. I love that game.
That would be fun.
I love Big Buck Hunter.
For Big Buck Hunter, we might actually be able to get some other people, not just station people, for other stations involved in this.
I'm down to participate. That sounds like a great
this side of the building,
I don't care where it is. I would play all the time, actually. I would be over there all the time playing. Give me one over that you really like. Give me one under that you really like this year in the NFL.
From the Chiefs or just in general?
In the National Football League. It doesn't have to be a player. It can be a team one that you really like.
Well, so player-wise, it's not even necessarily an over-under. It's more just most interceptions in the league again. I think it'll be Dak Prescott. He led the league last year. 15 picks in 12 games. I think he's 12-1 to have the most picks in football. I think he's going to have a ton of picks again. Not that the Cowboys can't be a playoff team. I'm just not buying that they're going to win the NFC East and continue this weird trend. Since 2003, there's not been a back-to-back NFC East winner.
I actually like Daniel Jones for that.
So you like Daniel Jones?
I like Daniel
Jones.
Jones.
You think they're going to pass the ball more with the Giants this year?
I like Daniel Jones to have more picks.
And then after that, I'm trying to think another just specific yardage one. I don't have that many mine are more just futures. Like the Saints to win the NFC South has been my favorite bet of the entire offseason. I think this before the preseason.
Every year we always fall for the Saints are going to do it.
Gold and I have had this conversation.
Yeah.
So
they have
at least they have a real quarterback this time.
If we simplify it, they have the best quarterback in the division, right? Derek Carr's the best quarterback in the division. And Todd Bowles and the Bucs are an absolute joke. He's the worst coach other than maybe
other than the coach of the Saints. You're right. Yeah. Then he's the second worst coach.
I'm not sold on Arthur Smith as much as other people are, but okay. The Falcons have Desmond Ritter as their quarterback. That's
Dennis
a problem.
Allen's got a 220 winning percentage.
Frank Wright, I actually really like, but I just don't think I think it's too early.
I want to know why Josh McDaniels doesn't get thrown in as worst coach in the league.
Oh, he's terrible.
Yeah.
Josh McDaniels is very much in this conversation. He started off his career 6-0. Since then, he's 11-28 as a head coach in the National Football League. The Raiders are quietly in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes.
So it says, hold on, Gold. He's not supposed to throw over 10. No, I'm not saying Dak Prescott's throwing 15 picks. I'm saying he threw 15 in 12 games last year.
He did.
He's like 12-1 to throw the most this year. It can be 10, it can be 15. Well, as long as it's the most,
you don't care what the number is.
I don't care what it is. Yeah. Yeah, so that's what comes to mind to me right off the top of my head.
All right. Well, you know what, man? We should. You know what? Every time the Royals have a day game, we should just do this. You guys should just pencil me in.
So you give you something to do.
Yeah,
before?
just pencil me in here to come in here, and we'll just talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Good
pencil
stuff.
me in. I'm sure they have more day games after this. I'm certain that they do.
Unfortunately,
we'll be having a cocktail at 11:30. Just so you know.
I'll be back in here then.
Yeah, there you go.
What is it today? What are you guys drinking?
It's like a play on a Greyhound. It's called Old Dog New Tricks. That's what Jay Rieger suggested.
What the hell is a Greyhound?
That's a grapefruit and vodka.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll give it a try.
See,
I'll give it a try.
Once you said grapefruit, Carrington was in. You like more of the fruit of your cocktails.
I like vodka. I'm not really much of a bourbon, like a dark liquor guy, but the vodka, yeah, I'll drink it with you. I'll share it with you.
6 and happy hour, about 20 minutes or so.
Can't wait. It'll be great. Be fun.
There you go. Carrington Harrison in studio with us. 2 days in a row, man. 2 days in a row stopping in.
Treated.
We do have a couple day games in September, unfortunately. Right in the middle of the football season.
Season's almost over. Don't worry. Royals only have about 6 weeks left of this thing. And we're all wrapped up.
So it says get golden tea instead and call it a day. That's expensive, I think. I think golden tea is
golden tea was a whole extra $100 besides the
only $100.
I got to be honest. I think of all the ones that would most likely we would play before the show or for a few minutes after.
Buck Hunter.
I think it's Buck Hunter. I think that is the one that is most like, it's like, you can get in there, play for 15 minutes, go back about our day. I don't think we have to.
I'm with you guys.
Or you guys would rather have Blitz than NBA Jam?
Blitz I'm seeing is running for $500 at Best Buy. Somebody said Costco in the chat was was $500. I don't know.
I mean, I was on One-Up's arcade site, and it was $600 for Buck Hunter. But it might have been only $5 for like the Mortal Kombat-y,
Don't get Mortal Kombat.
Fighting games.
I don't want that for downstairs. That's not good.
Fighting games are great on the
I
arcade.
want that downstairs.
By the way, we're not putting it downstairs. We are all spending this money.
Where the hell do you think it's
our
going
office?
up here? Okay.
Right put it in our office.
Yeah, because the boss will love that. By the way, his office is next to the little Cody and Gold office now that we have, and the wall's very thin. You can hear every conversation. You think he's going to love having us playing and yelling about Buck Hunter while he's in a meeting or something?
All right, we'll put it back in this. We'll put it in this alcove back here. There's nothing in it.
There you go.
There's literally nothing in this. Like, there's just like an alcove that used to have some like cubicles in it. They've been gone for a year. There's nothing in it. It's just an empty hallway. We'll just put it there.
Reminder, coming up not only during 11:30 is the 610 happy hour, but also we'll give you the final spot in our Cody and Gold Guillotine League. Final chance to get a spot, Cody and Gold Guillotine League. We'll tell you how to get that spot coming up in about 20 minutes or so. Before CDOT, we got into a conversation with him. We were going to talk about what the Chiefs' plan is if they decide to move on from a certain Chief. And no, we're not talking about Chris Jones, who we all know is still trying to get a contract done for an extension to stay in Kansas City long-term with the Chiefs. But what if they move on from Snead, which he's the player that L'Jarius Sneed has still not practiced in weeks, dealing with knee swelling? And who is the most important player to step up? I don't think it's Trent McDuffie. He's already there. It's not just, McDuffie has to elevate his game. I think we feel pretty good about where Trent McDuffie already is and where he can continue to go to. It's guys further down the depth chart, which is why the Najee Johnson injury and now the Nick Jones injury kind of stinks.
Yeah. I was thinking more because you and I both agree that this injury makes it more likely they're moving on from Snead. They need Williams or Watson to prove that they can replace it. And I'm not saying that they can't. Obviously, they are very early in their career. But, I mean, they absolutely need one of those two guys to establish themselves as the guy, right? Hey, we're number 2 on this list. We can be trusted to be number 2 on this list. And if you got to move on from L'Jarius Sneed, you're good. I'll fill the role until you draft the next corner who will fill my role, because no one in the NFL, and we've said this too, no one in the NFL has done a better job replacing corners who end up getting decent contracts or starting for other teams than the Chiefs right now. Those guys just leave. Charvarius Ward had a really good year for San Francisco. He didn't just leave and do nothing. They lost a starting NFL corner who played for a Super Bowl contending team, a starting NFL wide receiver who damn near led the league. Maybe he did lead the league. No, he got hurt for a little bit. Damn near led the league in receiving yardage, or did lead the league in receiving yardage last year in Tyreek Hill, and they still won the Super Bowl. So they can replace corners, man. But it's got to be Watson or Williams that steps up. Because if one of those two guys don't emerge, Gold, they're not really going to move on from Snead, are they? They're going to pay Snead.
I don't think
you don't think it's as simple as Watson or Williams
for two reasons. One, because right now we're also talking about L'Jarius Sneed, who it seems like, hopefully it's not the case, it seems like might have a lingering knee problem. Hopefully not. Hopefully they're just being
it's lingering right now.
Hopefully they're just being cautious with it. But is it going to be a situation like we've discussed with Juju Smith-Schuster and kind of his knee, where it's like, hey, this is something you're going to have to deal with the rest of your career. You have to really manage this, monitor it, 1 week off, 1 week on kind of thing. Where are you at? Is he practicing that often during the season? All that kind of stuff. That seems like, unfortunately, where things are trending for Snead. I hope not. So if that's the case, that also makes it easier to move on. I've told you that from a value perspective, I think L'Jarius Sneed is more valuable in Kansas City than he would be in any other organization because of the way this defense plays with Steve Spagnuolo and how they use him, his versatility off blitzes, not just coverage. So I've told you his value to the team is great. I just think at the end of the season, even if he's healthy, there is still a big question whether or not for the first time under Brett Veach would they financially make a commitment. They've made draft capital commitments a corner.
But that's only recently, by the way. That's only last year where they spent a first-round pick. Before that, it was all third or fourth rounder later.
But they haven't put a financial commitment under this regime at corner. And so is he the one that they're going to do that with and might have some knee problem? Like that's why I don't feel good about that.
Well, I mean, obviously part of their price tag and their interest in doing these things was with Juju. We assumed that part of the reason they weren't willing to pony up, because the number for Juju Smith-Schuster did not seem unreasonable, man. It seemed like a very reasonable price. You agree. But then also, turns out he had knee problems and he's already been kind of nicked up.
I think he's good now, but he was dealing with some knee stuff.
Nicked up early for them, but that's the same thing with Snead. You might see Snead go somewhere else and then miss a huge chunk of training camp for some other team, and then fine, he's playing right now, but will he? Will he play an entire season considering that knee issues? Will it, when he seems like a young wide receiver, is he actually a little bit older based on those injuries that have maybe piled up? Those are things that should concern you when you're a general manager, especially when your strength is finding corners. That's his strength. That's Brett Veach's wheelhouse. If you put all the GMs in a room and you're like, hey, we're going to give each GM a job. Every general manager gets one job, but you're all going to have to share 30 responsibilities across the board, or every position you guys are going to pay attention to across the board. Veach, out of anyone, we could drafted first to take corners. I would think at this point, right? Whether it be free agents, Reed or Matthew, he's had success, or all the drafted guys. He has an eye for talent.
Or evaluating quarterbacks.
I mean,
if it's true that he was the one in the room that swayed everybody to go with Mahomes, then maybe he might be that. He wasn't the GM of record of the draft.
Yeah, because of that.
But I get what you're saying, though. I get what you're saying.
I think it's easy for us to just want to give all the credit to Veach because he's obviously the general manager of record and they won 2 damn Super Bowls. Mm-hmm. He's a great GM. He's one of the best GMs in the entire NFL. It's like that one's always tough because if you're gonna give Veach credit, you always have to give equal credit to Dorsey.
Because Dorsey doesn't always. You mean for that move? Yeah. Okay, I thought you meant overall.
No, for that move. Okay. Because Veach still has fine, he can do whatever he wants. What do you think? You think someone's never ever coming to Brett Veach or John Dorsey and be like, this is my guy, we got to take him, this is my guy, and he's like, sorry, not this time, kid. Right? He doesn't have to listen to you.
But doesn't that actually speak pretty well for Brett Veach that he was actually able to convince? If to your point, if you're saying that happens all the time and usually they don't draft the guy. What was it? What did he say? How he was able to convince him to draft Patrick Mahomes?
But if he banged the table and then John Dorsey looked at the table and he's like, Veach is right. Well, then he's still the GM who was like, I trust my scout. Sure. This guy's right. He's a star. I also think he's a star. Sure. And let's take, because he traded up to 10. It's not like Dorsey thought he was a slouch.
No.
But
no, if you were just saying that basically people in Brett Veach's position at the time always say that and downplaying that, people always go to the GM and want to draft a certain guy. Yeah, but he was the one that he actually convinced them to draft. And thank goodness they did, for the Chiefs' sake and also for John Dorsey's sake. Imagine if we found out in hindsight that, Brett Veach was pounding on the table to draft Patrick Mahomes and he didn't.
Well, that's what every other coach does.
Every other coach claimed that they would have drafted him if it wasn't for some weird scenarios.
It's just so funny about that because it's like, well, you could have gone to 9, 8, 7, 6. There were other picks available.
That's right. Brett Veach is going to end up being a Chiefs Hall of Famer, and if he continues on this track, him and Andy Reid will both be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, not just Andy. Things continue on this path.
Yeah, Veach is, he's, I think, probably the best or the second best GM in all of the NFL. So
him and Roseman, man.
No one hears
him and Howie Roseman.
Yeah, the only advantage Roseman has is longevity.
Sure.
His teams have been competitive for a very long stretch of time, and they've won with a variety of quarterbacks. Chiefs will not to do that. Brett Veach gets to just have Patrick Mahomes and win on his merry way.
Yesterday, towards the end of the show, all of a sudden, you came across a stat that pointed the Bengals potentially having a flaw.
Yes, but Drew thought he knew what the stat would be, so I'm curious now if he can correctly guess. He is a Cincinnati Bengals fan. He grew up in Indianapolis. He's been a Bengals fan since he was 3 years old, so give him a little bit of a break in the early going of becoming our producer. Just out of curiosity, Drew, before I tell you the actual stat about why their defense could be fraudulent, why do you think it is?
Sack totals from last year.
Oh, okay, so sack totals. That is actually not the answer. Where do they rank in sack totals? Is it bad?
They were 29th in the league last year. They only had 30 sacks.
Woof. Okay, so that is concerning. The reason, and that might actually factor into this, by the way, that's another reason to think their defense is fraudulent, or their defensive coordinator is the best in the NFL. It's one of the two.
Wow, he is the best coordinator. I actually do think their coordinator is the best coordinator.
If he's getting 30 sacks and they're still a reasonably passable defense, that says something. They, last year, Warren Sharp had this stat out yesterday. They, last year, faced the smallest percentage in the NFL by a lot of teams who faced the original team's number one starting quarterback. They only faced the number one starting quarterback for that team 54% of the time. They faced backups half of their schedule last year. Half.
Now, what was the cutoff? I guess my question is, for example, they played Pittsburgh twice, okay? Trubisky was the starter week 1, but was not later in the year.
I think that counts as one half. He's not one of those guys with the starter, one of those guys.
That's what I'm at. Are they using that as, they didn't play the starter?
I think he's using that as they didn't play the starter. I understand that they made that transition, but we're talking about
well, that might be.
This is the same across the league. Anybody could have faced a team when they had made the shift. And you and I both know, you making a shift to a backup quarterback is usually when your season is over.
I'm just saying,
when you make
if that's
the shift
the case,
to Desmond Ridder, it's done.
All I'm saying is, if that's the case, that means 2 teams, if not 3 teams, Cody, in their division would have counted against them. They played Cleveland twice. Deshaun Watson wasn't available early in the year. Therefore, technically, they played the backup later in the year when Deshaun came in.
No, in that case, they're counting Deshaun as a starter, and they actually faced the backup earlier in the year. But yes.
So and then the Steelers,
Huntley, and
then the Ravens
twice. Yeah,
that would be the only thing I'd say. Like, it's an amazing stat, but the only problem is 3 of their divisional teams counted against them. That's probably why they ended up having the numbers the way they were.
I know, but I mean, it was 52% of the time. Half of the season they didn't face a starter last year.
Yeah, but 6 of their games were in the division.
I understand
this
that.
Applying to
but
it.
they only won their division on like the final week of the season.
Right, I'm just saying
they
for
might
the
have
stat.
lost the division if it hadn't been for that weirdo forfeit. We don't even know what have happened there. Since he could have still not forfeit, tie. What do they call that game? A tie between
no contest.
No contest, just
count.
nothing, right?
Yeah.
So I can't remember. We were like back and forth on what they should do in that game, but I mean, to have 30 sacks in the NFL, to only face a starting quarterback or the suspected starting quarterback 50% of the time, be very easy to backslide defensively.
I mean, it's interesting. I think there's some explanation for it. We're going to find out about that defense and wasn't fraudulent. I do think they have the best.
They've done a better job
coordinator
against
in
Patrick
football,
Mahomes than anyone, so like that makes the part where you're like, okay, the coordinator's really good, so maybe that's it.
Anarumo, I think, is probably the best
But
coordinator.
I mean, they were the 5th ranked defense last year in points per game. They were nowhere close to that objectively. If you look at any kind of stat that breaks down where they were, how are you 5th in points with 30 sacks?
They were very much a bend but don't break defense, where they will allow a lot of yards, but when they get to the red zone, they will force you to kick a field goal a lot of the time. They held pretty strong, but
as a person who witnessed that a lot in Kansas City and non-winning championships years, that is a risky move.
100%.
Year to year, it's risky.
Well, and I think too, the fact that the Chiefs got Jawan Taylor, and maybe you look at the rushing grade and you're like, yeah, that's not great. But the fact that he is as good pass-wise and also allowed, I think it was 31 less pressures last season than Orlando Brown, going up against, the Bills and going up against the Bengals or the Dolphins, who could have a really good defense this year. You look at, obviously the two bookends, and, you want to be able to have that pass protection regardless of how good or bad a pass rush is.
Like, I just don't think there's anything about what the Chiefs did last year, other than maybe their sack totals were inflated a little bit, that is fraudulent. And their sack totals last year weren't fraudulent. They came from very reliable sources, people you would expect to get sacks. The problem is they lost a few of those guys who would be expected to get sacks, so maybe they'll be a little bit worse than that. But Cincinnati, by simply having to, face Lamar Jackson twice instead of Huntley, or face Deshaun Watson twice instead of, and I don't know, Cincinnati's schedule. Did they get the Browns twice before Watson even made it back?
I think they played the Browns once without Watson and then once with. I believe that, if I remember right, that was it. And then I think the Ravens, for sure, they played Huntley. They played Tyler Huntley twice, one late in the season, and then I think they went back-to-back weeks actually against the Ravens. Huntley and then Huntley again in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's just. You go back through.
Plus, if you look, they played the Saints last year. Did they play Andy Dalton or did they play Jameis? That whole situation, they were both essentially backups.
God, was their schedule a lot easier than I remember last year?
They played the South in the NFC last year, so it did.
So yes,
it did help.
Yeah, okay. I was like, wait. So this feels like, we're leading up to this. Karen just asked it. This feels like what kind of odds can I get on the Ravens to win the North? Like, I'm not saying Cincinnati's going to win it, but I wouldn't bet Cincinnati to win the North. I'm not going to get nearly as good of odds.
I think the Ravens are back in the playoffs with Lamar, and I think they're going to be back into the top 4 or 5 category of teams in the NFL. So, yeah, to your point, now, as far as specific divisional odds in the AFC North,
I assume the Ravens are second.
Cincinnati is plus 150. Baltimore is plus 210. Cleveland's 4-1. Pittsburgh's plus 470.
Okay, I'm never betting either of those other two. I don't think Cleveland or Pittsburgh are winning this division. I still think Baltimore and Cincinnati.
Cleveland might need to find a new kicker. Cade York last night, if you were watching that preseason game. My goodness.
Wrong? Okay, again.
What's wrong with
you
what?
all need help.
No.
18 ties in preseason. I watched 0
did you
seconds
see why?
of this.
But do you see why it was a weird 18-18 tie? That's what I was just
Because
bringing up.
he missed kicks.
He missed 2 kicks in a row. He also at halftime retweeted one of his longer kicks he made and then deleted the tweet because he missed 2 in the second half. The game tied 18-18. There's no such thing as overtime, thank goodness, in preseason anymore. So, yeah, it tied 18-18. But DTR was why I watched. He's fun to watch. He looks better than Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud right now.
Yeah, but
I'm not saying he's going to be better. I'm saying he looks better.
Or whatever.
He's a fun player to watch.
Yeah. UCLA's quarterback.
The AFC North, by the way, plays the NFC West this year. And the Bengals also play the Bills.
Damn, 10 wins might get the North this year.
The Bills, the Vikings, and then, of course, the Chiefs as well.
Well, it's a 17-game schedule now, so 11 wins. Take it back on the 10 part.
The Bengals over-under is 11.5, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's as high as the Chiefs, which seems – the Chiefs have never gone below that with Patrick Mahomes. They've never gone below 1.5, but you got to pay juice. It's like minus 160 or 150 or something. You forget about the over.
Yeah, since he's over is 11.5 plus money on the over for Cincinnati. The Chiefs is 11.5, and it's minus 134 to go over. I mean, it's because Andy Reid's track record is ridiculous.
He's never gone below that with Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, look, here, I even see this audio. This poor Cleveland kicker.
So now this will be a 41-yard field goal attempt and a second chance at it for Cade York.
Oh, my God.
And he missed that one.
Oh, boy.
He pushed the first. He pulled the second. And the Eagles now get the football back with a couple of timeouts and an opportunity late in this ball game.
But my point is like, oh, no, he missed both those kicks. That's why he was 18-18. Doesn't matter that he missed them. Nothing changed.
I like
literally nothing changed.
So this is the weird thing with this.
I hate preseason.
I know, but like it's gotten to the point where it's bizarre to me the reaction to it. So like it's gotten to the point where it's like it's cool to say you hate the preseason now. That's cool.
Definitely not my
But
stance.
I feel like that's the vibe I get sometimes from multiple people when it comes to this. It's like no, I like football, so yeah, I'm gonna watch a couple bits of the preseason game last night.
Those same people who say that are following it very intently, I feel like.
I just saw one tweet that said
that was Ross Tucker, by the way, on the call. He was on NFL Network last night. He does the Eagles
we should
preseason.
get Ross on
we
next
need
week.
to. He's doing CBS games this year. That's actually, you know what? In the next week or so, Drew, that's exactly what we should
get Ross on.
We'll get Drew to get in touch with Ross. I think we should try to get Ross Tucker on. It's a little, especially since it was Ross Tucker the last time the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. He was the guy saying they couldn't repeat. Now they didn't.
It's fine if you feel like me. I still argue that he wasn't technically right there.
He said they were going to have a Super Bowl hangover.
They went to the Super Bowl, lost both their tackles, and then lost the game.
So we'll talk to Ross about that.
Can't repeat it strong.
We'll talk to Ross. All right, coming up next, though, 6:10 happy hour and the final spot for our Cody and Gold Guillotine League.
Cody and Gold.
The Disgusting Brothers.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
We're talking with Dr. David Bach, board-certified urologist at Kansas City Urology Care. Doctor, when it comes to prostate cancer, what makes KCUC the best?
KCUC treats more prostate cancer than anyone else in the metro, and for that matter, in this part of the country.
What does that mean for the patient?
As part of cancer care, a patient will need a urologist, a pathologist, a medical oncologist, and a radiation oncologist. We offer specialists, board-certified specialists, in all those areas on site. It's important to a patient because they want the best possible care with the best possible outcomes with the fewest chances of side effects. Without a doubt, Kansas City Urology Care is the expert in prostate cancer therapy.
See the prostate cancer experts, Kansas City Urology Care. At KCUC, you see the best in KC. To make an appointment, visit appointments.kcurology.com.
The blockbuster event of the summer is here.
Outrunning a helicopter isn't exactly what I had in mind for my beach getaway.
But this isn't another full-throttle action movie. It's the Nissan Thrill of the Drive sales event.
Wait, what?
Featuring the action-packed 2023 Nissan Rogue and Nissan Sentra, with sport modes that give the performance of a lifetime.
Stealing my spotlight.
And now comes the real star of the show.
Now get a low $419 per month lease for 36 months on Rogue. Availability is limited, so shop your local Nissan store or nissanusa.com today.
Better hurry. These offers won't get a sequel.
For well-qualified customers, 2023 Rogue S all-wheel drive. $19.89 initial payment excludes tax, title, and license. Disposition fee due at lease end. Take from new dealer stock. Call 1-888-858-8319 for offer details. Ends 9/5/23.
Hey, this is Rex with KC Real Estate Buyers, and I buy houses for cash. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, grab a pencil. I'm going to give you a very important phone number in 40 seconds. I'm a private real estate investor. I live right here in KC, and I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at KC Real Estate Buyers, we are improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind-in-payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000. Or go to rexbuyskc.com. That's rexbuyskc.com. And I look forward to working with you.
Tailgates and turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey is always a winner. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot.
Score big this year with your home team, Ag Power. From powerful John Deere tractors plowing through the toughest terrains to mighty zero-turn mowers cutting through grass like a linebacker, Ag Power is your all-star defensive line when it comes to tackling projects. They have a variety of tractor packages designed for properties both big or small. Regardless of the task, you'll always be on the winning team with Ag Power. Visit agpower.com to find the location nearest you. Welcome home, Missouri.
Luke Combs here, and I have an exclusive opportunity for you to win $500,000 with the Living Lucky with Luke Combs Lottery Experience. Join me in Nashville for a private concert at the iconic Ryman Auditorium. One lucky winner will win $500,000 at the end of the show. Y'all feeling lucky? Enter today.
Enter your Living Lucky with Luke Combs Scratchers tickets at MoLottery.com for a chance to win a private concert experience and a chance at $500,000. Play it forward with the Missouri Lottery and play responsibly.
Kelley Blue Book is the one-stop shop for pricing, fixing, selling, and instant cash offering. Instant Cash Offer is exactly what it sounds like. An official offer to buy or trade your car. Just enter your VIN or license plate, answer a few questions about your car's history, and what kind of condition it's in. In minutes, you'll receive an offer to sell or trade your car that you can be sure is fair. Then choose a dealer to purchase your car and schedule a time to meet. For all of the its, KBB.com.
Turn your home into restricted airspace. Tell incoming flights you want them diverted. The new Raid Essentials Light Trap plugs into the wall and uses light to attract, then trap flying insects like fruit flies and mosquitoes. Its 24/7 continuous attraction provides insecticide-free protection that's people and pet friendly. Consider air service interrupted. New Raid Essentials Light Trap. Insecticide-free protection.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Pennzoil Platinum can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life Oil Filter for only $35.99. Get started on your next job today with the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Gillette Intimate gives guys a gentle and easy shave on there. And around there. And even under there. Don't treat your groin like junk. Respect it with Gillette Intimate, the best a man can get. Buy now at a retailer near you.
Sunny with a few clouds, maybe hazy, high 87.
Weather brought to you by Staples. Staples stores are a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Chiefs coverage brought to you by Andy's Frozen Custard. Stop in now to enjoy the key lime pie concrete.
Let me tell you about my good friend Andy from Andy's Frozen Custard. He's from Kansas City, never misses a game, and serves the world's finest frozen custard. Tailgate with a pick six, or grab a freshly made custom treat before or after a game. And tell him Mitch and Andy sent you. Chiefs Kingdom. This is Mitch Holtis, and welcome into the Chiefs Red Half Hour on Cody and Gold. Every day at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner, the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
All right, it is the Chiefs Red Half Hour, brought to you by Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Reminder, we're off the air in about 25 minutes, so we'll talk a little Chiefs here briefly, looking ahead to tomorrow's preseason game, and then we'll transition into a 610 happy hour presented by Jay Rieger and Company. Cody's got the glasses ready to go.
We're on it now.
But before we partake in a couple drinks and send us off for the weekend a little bit earlier than normal, tomorrow, preseason. Of course, you can hear it over on our sister station, 106.5 The Wolf. Mitch Holtis, Dana Hughes. Thanks to Mitch for the intro there. Josh Klingler, Dan Israel, Art Haynes, all part of the broadcast. Chiefs taking on the New Orleans Saints. And Andy said, the starters are going to play for the whole half. We'll see if it's a couple drives for Patrick Mahomes or not. We've talked about, I said the Saints, I'm sorry, the Arizona Cardinals. Saints last week. Cardinals tomorrow.
Yeah, we know.
And when you look at who we're looking for, I still think because his stock is rising. Rashee Rice, I want to see, can he back up what he's done in camp this week, working with the ones, what he did a little bit, contested catches against the Saints. Can he do it against the Cardinals? And then Richie James. It's the two wide receivers for me in particular that I'm excited to see in this preseason game. And obviously, it goes without saying, with all the field condition concerns, find a way to just get out of that thing healthy, no knee injury, no ankle injury because the foot got stuck in the turf or anything. If you're Trent McDuffie, Harrison Butker, two guys got hurt in that very stadium. It's weird, though. They've played out in Arizona 3 times now in the last calendar year. Just a weird scheduling quirk.
That might be the thing I am looking for the most. Can you get out of a game and not get hurt? I might care about that, Gold, more than anything else that happens in this game. Can you simply survive without getting injured on a field that I think Andy knows is garbage? Probably because he saw it a couple times last year, but because, I don't know, the coach who played there last week called it deplorable.
I mean, I trust that when they get there, if they really think it is bad and they're there in person, I don't think they're going to say, well, we got to play the starters because we told them they were going to play the starters. No, if they really think there's an injury concern, then don't play Mahomes. Don't risk anything. If I'm Mahomes, I'm also not scrambling anyway. It made everybody nervous even on the turf down in New Orleans.
I don't think he can help himself.
I know.
I know you say, hey, don't scramble, but I think when your instinct kicks in, your instinct is play football, run away from people who are trying to get me a complete pass.
You're right.
I think he has a hard time turning it off.
That's true. Easier said than done. There's preseason action tonight. We know Cody will be watching all those games tonight, and then he'll watch. Then he'll watch Saturday.
Take my kids to go see the Ninja Turtles movie or something.
I thought about let's just transition into this happy hour. Because I thought about going to see a movie after the show today because we're done early. But it's 6:10 happy hour. You can hear the drinks are being made. 6:10 happy hour, presented by Jay Rieger and Co. So what do we got going for us today? Real quick, I know you're about to mix them here.
Old Dog, new tricks. They call it a twist on a popular brunch cocktail, the Greyhound, or kind of like a salty dog. So I couldn't get the salt rim on there quite as well as I wanted to, but that's okay. That's just because I didn't have the right tools. It's really super easy to make. So vodka, grapefruit liqueur, Aperol, lime juice, simple syrup over ice.
All right. So he's going to finish making these. Drew, this is Drew's first real 6:10 happy hour. Normally on Fridays, if we have a normal show, we go Club 6:10. But another happy hour as we have a shorter show today, and then the last couple Fridays we've been up in St. Joe at Chiefs Camp, and so we've done the canned cocktails while we've been up there with the Electric Park canned cocktails from Jay Rieger and Co.
I just had the wrong size glasses, so I'm not giving you a half drink. It's just.
Oh, you're supposed to be short.
They're supposed to be short glasses, and I have pint glasses.
I was wondering if Cody was cheating us here, Drew. short, light pours and all that. Okay.
Come in and grab yours, Drew?
Again, going with more of a brunch vibe. A little more of a brunch vibe because it's it's only 11:30, 11:40, so in the morning.
Looks refreshing.
It is. It is very much. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. This is so again. We've had I feel like with the exception of 2 weeks, most of these have been summer-themed, refreshing drinks.
Yeah,
this one fits.
Okay.
You could be out on a patio having a little brunch and have this cocktail while you're eating. Maybe you're out back. You're someone that has one of the Blackstones as well, and you're cooking up something in your backyard.
These are great.
You can have this for morning cocktail on a Saturday morning, on a Sunday morning as well.
I feel good about it. Drew, we don't know. Like Drew said, he doesn't drink a ton of beer.
This is great.
Not really a dark liquor guy. What do you think of the cocktail?
This is great.
Yeah, I would drink. This would get. By the way, this is one of those drinks. You know why it's trouble? Is that it's liquor on liquor on liquor. It's vodka on liqueur on a different aperitif on. It's just like
Carrington will like this too.
3/4. I didn't make him one yet because he's not here, so I didn't want to.
This is right up Carrington's alley.
Well,
Someone says, can the grapefruit liqueur be substitute for grapefruit juice?
I would assume so. Yeah. I mean, it's only 1.5 ounces, so it probably makes up like 20% of the drink. So it would make it a little less strong. So I would tell you maybe a little hint more vodka, probably. I would replace that liquor content. If like in a bartender stuff, I'd probably replace the liquor content if you're going to do grapefruit juice instead. But yeah. Grapefruit juice is also a little bit, like it's got some sweetness to it, so maybe a little less. Like I put simple syrup in there, so maybe a little less of that too.
Someone on the text line said, hey, post the recipe on Twitter. We usually actually do post a little recipe card. We can do that. We usually do a screenshot of that. That's pretty easy. Yeah, but that's typically how we do it.
Oh,
you can
man,
also
that
go
is
to
good.
Rieger's website, and they have a list of a lot of these cocktails available. Again, these recipes come directly from Jay Rieger & Co.
Yeah, you can find them on their website.
And a lot of these, if you go out to their distillery, and whether you're taking a tour or you're just hanging out, a lot of these are, of course, available right there from their multiple bars that they have inside of Jay Rieger & Co.
All right, it's official. I'm picking up some more limes on the way home. I used the last of my lime
juice
juice at
going to
home.
be for this weekend for you?
Yeah, this is going to be tonight. When I'm having a cocktail on the patio tonight, this is going to be the one. I told my kids I could stay up late tonight because he got some light up rockets, like the air pump rockets.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And so we took him out and flew them yesterday, which he likes, but they light up. And it was like before it had gotten really dark, and because it's summer still. And
this probably moves into the top 3 or 4 of the ones we've made on this show.
Really?
Yeah, so this is, I still have KC Ice Water ahead of it. It's just one of my favorite ones that Rieger does. But
that is good.
I would say this and Ice Water are both in the top 3. I'm trying to think of the name of the other one. But this one is vaulted ahead of probably the last 2 or 3 we did. I do like the canned cocktails we've had the last couple weeks
turn on the light.
from Canned Cocktail. Oh, no, the Club 610 light's not there. Yeah, you can dim the lights. You can get, it's a weird vibe. It's 11:40 or so, you know? DJ Drew over here.
You know, I apologize. I didn't mean to leave the lights off. I just, we're out of habit. We've been up at training camp. I didn't turn on this light. Drew's never seen it before. I want to give him the actual, real first Club 610 vibe experience. This is what it is, Drew. This is what it looks like.
We obviously don't always talk sports, but did you guys hear what former Chiefs wide receiver Tyreek Hill was saying?
He's lying, dude.
So Tyreek was talking
help
after
himself.
practice. Listen to what he had to say. He was asked about, how much film do you watch during preseason, but really, how much film of the corners that you go up against each week? How much do you watch? This was his answer, and it had to do with a video game.
Nah, so I feel like Madden has a good tell of how good players are. So I just play Madden the night before, and I go look at all their ratings. So let's say, for instance, they had Steve Nelson and Derek Stingley over there, 2 phenomenal players, by the way. I just go get on Madden. I go to the EA rosters, then I scroll down and see what their awareness is, their speed is, and their strength, and that's how I get a good tell on them.
He's just trolling all the corners, right? Do you think he actually is just looking at the speed ratings the night before game playing Madden? He's trolling the corners.
No.
Do you think it's because he also heard that Johnny Manziel, remember the Johnny Manziel stuff went viral because Manziel said he didn't watch any game film, which we all believe that he didn't watch game film. Do you think he knew that comment went viral, and so he's just trolling because of that as well?
I think this is, again, the problem that comes down with, like, people. This is like same friend group, right? Like, this is a club conversation. We all have try too hard friend. Oh, I'm gonna make everyone like, you're like, he's tried too hard friend. You're like, come on, man, just be you. It's cool. We're fine. We don't need a whole show. I don't need the whole production. I don't need you like trying to embellish a story just to make it seem cooler. It either happened or it didn't. You don't have to try too hard. We're all
I still
good
think
here.
he's trolling. Either that or he's getting paid by Madden, EA Sports directly.
Drew, are you in the market for a new Kansas City-based best friend, I guess?
Sure.
Well, he needs friends here. He needs a new KC best friend.
I do.
You see what
are
shirt,
your interests?
Do you see what shirt he's wearing today? How about this?
Oh, he's already in the Charlie Hustle shirt.
He's got the KC Hart shirt. There you go.
I gotta represent the city that I live in.
We'll get you a
How long did it take you to buy that?
Shoot, I went to Shields, and the supply is endless.
Okay. We got to get you some Chiefs
We
gear.
should have hit up our friends over at Charlie Hustle to get him a couple of shirts.
We can do that. We got to get you a Chiefs shirt, man. Sorry. Gonna have to happen.
Why? Why does he have to wear Chiefs shirt?
I think we're gonna have to get you a Chiefs shirt. I'll get you a KU shirt too.
I think.
Did you wear Houston Texans gear when you worked in Houston?
I didn't do local radio in Houston. A little bit different.
You did wear Boise gear because I've seen you in
I
Boise
did local
gear.
radio in Boise.
I feel like the place, like if you're, you have to support them in some way, shape, or form. But okay.
I have to support them in gear.
I do. By the way, I think if we do have a little
Don't
wager,
let us keep pressuring you. Don't let us keep changing things.
If we do have a wager for that game on New Year's Eve, I think I know what. If the Bengals do win, I think I know what we'll have you guys.
Oh.
I think I know what I'll have you guys do.
Okay. Oh.
We're down for that.
The listeners are not going to like it, but
well, they're not supposed to.
it's going to
a
be
bet.
fun.
Interesting.
Chiefs still haven't beaten Joe Burrow in the regular
I was saying
season.
regular season. That's a good bet for you. You just don't want to make that bet usually in the postseason.
I've never placed a bet. Actually, I've bet one time on the Bengals, and ever since I've never done it again because you're not supposed to bet on your favorite team. It's not supposed to happen. You lose every time.
Well, Gold has said before, the better way to do it is to bet against your team. That way, either way, you're happy. Your team won, or you won money.
Now, for the record,
it's
last
really
year,
the best way to do it.
Last year, though, we all made a lot of money off of our preseason bets because there was a bunch of bonus bets. Sports betting launched.
And we all bet on MVP.
Sports betting launched in Kansas almost a year ago to the day. We're coming up on it, and there was a bunch of promos, and so Mahomes' MVP bet and Chiefs to win the Super Bowl was popular. So everybody kind of did bet on their favorite team last year. This year, I've told you on the record, I will not bet on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl this year, and I will not bet on Mahomes to win MVP. That will not be in my
If you
betting.
had a free bet, would you?
No.
Or would you put it on somebody else?
I would. The MVP one we've talked about.
Aaron Rodgers won back-to-back MVPs.
So narrative-driven. Last year, I think Jalen Hurts was going to win it.
You don't think defending Super Bowl champion is a narrative?
No, yeah, it's a narrative. It's not a good one for winning MVP. He has to blow the competition away statistically so much, I think, because of how voters perceive Mahomes now. Andy Reid can't win Coach of the Year unless he goes 15-2 or 16-1, or if Mahomes got hurt and he won 12 games without Mahomes. Like, that's the crappy criteria that he's at now. So I just won't be making it a Mahomes MVP bet this year. I'm not telling you I have the answer of who's going to win it. Jalen Hurts and Rodgers are my two bets, but I don't think Mahomes is a smart bet this year. He's one of the favorites. It's not good value when, to me, he has to do so much more than what Burrow has to do to win it, or what Jalen Hurts has to do, or what Trevor Lawrence has to do in order to win the award.
Yeah, the other part about those people to win the award is that I can't lock them in as division winners. I can with Mahomes. We just talked about it. I can't lock in Burrow as a division winner.
I understand.
So
but in the AFC East alone, if Josh Allen wins the AFC East in that competition and has good numbers, he to me is a better bet for it. Or if Aaron Rodgers wins
Lamar
the
Jackson
AFC
wins
East,
the North.
Yes, that's the tricky part. I get the criteria for winning the division.
I just know that I can lock in one part of the things that are required to win the MVP.
Which is why I won't be betting on Justin Herbert to win, because I don't think he can win the division.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. At least from that perspective, it doesn't make sense.
So,
all right, we saw that guy's list earlier. What's your absolutely nose? What you did for dating a girl?
For first date or
Let's
just
say
dating?
You won't choose her clothes or whatever nonsense weirdo stuff that you put.
That's weird. I think a big thing for me is I don't want someone that has no clue of what direction their life is headed in.
Oh, you want someone? So you want someone driven?
Yeah, I want someone that knows what their career what their career path they got their together. That's a big thing for me, because I feel like I got my stuff together. I want them to have their stuff together.
You think you got it all together, huh?
I think so. We're all working every day, but I think I know I think I know where I want to be and what I'm doing and stuff, career wise and that path. Yeah, I think
that's
very
qualify
important.
For life stuff.
What do you mean,
family, kids, any of that? You want them to have that all figured out too?
No, we don't have to be in lockstep on that entirely right away. But that's important. Other stuff you can evolve from, but that's a big thing for me. People say it sounds shallow, but this goes for both her and I. You have to also be physically attracted to them as well. That has to happen.
I assume that's most people's.
Yeah. People always try to give me this BS. They're that's so terrible to say. Get the hell out of here. The first time if you're at a bar and you see someone, the first thing you see is their physical appearance. Then you start having a conversation and find out if you like them. Other than that, but initially, what prompts you to go up to talk to somebody at a bar? You probably think they're cute. That's where it starts. We can all lie to ourselves, but that's the first thing, and then you go from there. You agree or disagree?
It's hit or miss. I think sometimes anybody might get hung up on initial attraction first, and you might find out that there's more things you like about them and all those things.
That's what I said, but that's my point. Is initially, what prompts you to usually go up to someone and talk at a bar? That's all I'm saying. You think they're attractive, and then you find out if you have something in common.
At a bar. You can remember how long you were.
That's right. You guys have been since high school.
That was not maybe at a high school party or something.
Yeah.
We haven't been together since high school, but we've known each other that long. Drew, how long have you been married?
Oh, yeah.
I've been married a little over a year, probably a year and a half, but I've been with my wife for almost 7 years.
So early college, based on your age?
No,
middle of college?
My senior year, going into my senior year, I met my wife.
Of college?
Yes.
Okay. I forget, I was always older when I went to college late, so I kind of forget how old people are when they're in college.
I want to make sure we do this, though, not to cut off the conversation. Before we forget, though, we have one spot left in our Cody and Gold Guillotine League. We were going to have CDOT come in here and actually explain.
I was going to make him a drink, but he didn't come.
Well, we were going to have him get a drink, but also we were going to have CDOT tell us exactly how he thought we should give away the last spot. But I don't think he's going to make it in here before we have to hand things off to Vern. So last spot. What do you guys want to do? Last spot here for the Guillotine League. We're going to be drafting on Wednesday, August 30th.
We'll give this to a person who's been listening to this show for a good stretch of time.
Okay. A little historical relevance.
One person who texted into the show who just tells us the game that we agreed might be the best arcade game for us to buy from 40 minutes ago.
Okay.
So you've been listening for the show for the last hour. You're going to be okay. You can go back and rewind. But just somebody who replies on the text line who says which of the arcade games we all agreed would be the best as a group.
Okay.
If we are going to chip in for one. Carrington said he's in for 150.
913-586-7610. We need your first, last name, and email address. First and last name, email address. 913-586-7610. If you have the correct answer there, we will randomly pick one of you, and you will get the final spot in the Guillotine League, and we will be doing our draft Wednesday, August 30th, around 6:45 in the evening. It's online. It'll also be at a location to be determined. We'll send an email to those of you that are in the league. But again, some of you are just saying the game. We also need your first, last name, and email address.
We'll just pick someone randomly who has been listening to the show, I guess, probably the last hour. He came in at like 11 o'clock.
Someone's still trying to bribe us. No bribes this year, we said. No bribes. We appreciate no bribes this year to get in.
It's the equal opportunity year. How good's the bribe, though, you know?
Nice gift card, you know? Not doing it this year. No bribes. We promised.
Nice gift card. Let me see. Oh, man, yeah. That is a good gift card.
Appreciate it.
We do appreciate it. This is a good reminder of how many people listen to this show for like an hour straight. Our numbers would indicate otherwise sometimes.
You already polished off your drink. I got to hurry up.
Dude, it's really good. And I know I got to I can't just be sitting around the office for like 3 hours drinking this thing. I don't want to waste this good
That's why it's normally a Club 610 for a full hour, so we have time.
Yeah, typically, but because we're off at noon today, we didn't have much of a choice, you know? We had to move quickly and make those decisions.
Someone says they don't trust us with their personal information.
What,
Sorry,
like
you
an
can't
email?
Can't be in the league then. Sorry.
I don't want your... Come on, I don't
you
want
text it in. We see your phone number. I mean, I hate to break it to you. We have that already. When you text in.
Based on things we've learned on the show before, is once I have your phone number, I could find where your sister lives.
Don't say, Coach, don't
What?
say that.
That's what happened. We did this one time on the show.
Oh, man.
I'm just pointing out a fact.
Oh, goodness. Hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. It is going to be
hot.
Very hot and miserable. Starting tomorrow. 102 degrees tomorrow for the Billy Joel concert at Arrowhead. Have fun with that. Have fun with that.
Sounds uncomfortable.
I would have to have free tickets to go. You can't. I'm not going to pay hundreds of dollars to sweat in a 102-degree concert, although I would love to see Billy Joel. Can't do it. So enjoy the weekend. We're back at it. Actually, on Tuesday. Monday, don't fear. You know, we're not going to claim that we got suspended or anything. We won't be here on Monday. We have meetings. Football, football meetings as a show. So Dusty will actually be on the show Monday, filling in for all three of us. Just a heads up on that. We'll talk to you next week.